they say in the first count, the above the title action, what do you define the defendant, Andrew J. Levinson? We find him not guilty. Now, I know I have 13 counts, but I hear not guilty, the word not guilty, and that's pretty, the second count, we find not guilty. Third count, not guilty. Fourth count, not guilty. 6 counts, not guilty. By the 6th count, I'm straightening my tie. I'm looking at the prosecution. I'm thinking about what my exit thing is, how all the FUs I'm going to tell the prosecution. But now they get to the conspiracy charges. And, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I count guilty. What they were taking 4 days on is I don't think this guy went into this business to defraud people. He's probably going to get 2 years for this. Let's just find him guilty. He's a little cocky. Took the stand. He's got $5,000 suits. He's, you know what I mean? So I guarantee 70 days after that, when they did sentencing 70 days later, okay, I was in that trial. Let me read this whole story. Oh man, he got 210 months? Let me do the math with that. Oh God, that's 17 and a half years. And I guarantee they thought I was gonna get 2 to 3 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. I got a very special guest here. I've listened to you tell your story a few times, and it is completely enthralling, on the edge of your seat to see how the whole thing plays out. Please welcome Andrew Levinson, better known as ReddBull. How are you, my friend?
Wade, I appreciate it, Wade. I love your show. You're more probably in depth, I would say. The salacious. I've been on about 4 or 5 shows, so I appreciate your interest, your genuine interest, because some people I think they just like the salaciousness of it, and you like to hear the story. So I really appreciate that. So.
Yeah, getting into meat and potatoes. Well, I come down here to Florida. It's actually I don't know when this will drop. It won't be today, obviously, but this city is lit, man. You got the Miami Hurricanes returning to the national championship, so it's the atmosphere around here is electric, bro.
What's the odds? The Monday of MLK Day, National Championship Day. I mean, we haven't had this swag for about 20 years down here, so
it's definitely back. You
and one of the coldest days of the year. So
I know I got to get a hoodie to go out tonight to watch this game.
This is South Florida still, but thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. It's a pleasure. So let's just start from the beginning, man. Sure. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up. You're a Boston guy, right?
Boston guy, outside of a suburb of Boston, about 12 miles outside, called Holbrook. It's the South Shore. People probably heard of Brockton, where Marvin Hagler's from. Right. I was bordering Brockton, a small town bordering that. So I was, Quincy, Braintree. It's a South Shore, they call it. Okay. So it's a suburb, bedroom community of Boston. Right. I was in Boston a lot. So, but yeah, I grew up there. Was an athlete. Unfortunately, probably a lazy student. Did well enough to play sports. That was my main thing. Got through high school and got to college, which was shocking. I was one of those kids that got like 1,200 on the SATs, but got C's because I didn't do homework. I didn't do. Right. I was pretty lazy, but sports kept me. Really, without sports, to be honest with you, I probably would have. Who knows? Dropped out. I don't know. It was no excuses, but I think really people don't realize that sports keep people together, and 100%. It's more important than people think education wise. Yeah. And then really bucked up in college. Really, I went to Emerson. If people don't know Emerson, it's kind of like a journalism / broadcasting school. It's still a regular college, liberal arts, but like Jay Leno went there. Right. Henry Winkler went there. Those type of guys. So
you're big into hockey?
Well, absolutely. You grew up playing hockey. So my first sport is hockey, because literally 3-4 years old, they throw you on the ice. You learn how to skate at 4. Right. And this is what's crazy about Massachusetts is that people don't know Bobby Orr, but Bobby Orr is like literally an institution. Bobby Orr came to Boston in 1966. Massachusetts had 18 rinks total in the whole state when Bobby Orr came there. Bobby Orr left in 1976. We had 390 rinks, and still didn't have enough rinks. He's probably, for one sport, no kidding, he's probably the most transitional player for a sport in an area in the history of anything. I mean, Massachusetts became hockey crazy after he came. So, and it was kind of nuts because he couldn't get ice time, even with all those rinks. We'd have practice at 5:30 in the morning. Imagine that. Imagine being in 2nd grade, going to ice, like hockey practice at 5:30 in the morning.
That's dedication.
And having games at 4:30 sometime. And when I look back at that, you know what I look back at? my mom's taking me there. Like, think about that. Like, I don't even know if I take my kid at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, so those kind of things I appreciate more as an adult. And as a kid, you just think, you got to take me. I got a game.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're not going to take me? So, that was interesting to look back and the sacrifice my mother gave. But those bonding with sports, I don't want to be too sentimental about it, but man, that kept me going.
Oh yeah, I used to coach like 7-on-7 football. It's just a little something to keep the kids active in the off season. But the guy that created that program, he said, if we don't do something to keep them busy in the off season, you don't know what they can fall into. So
right.
It's really important, just sports in general, but even off season activities and everything else. That's why you see these kids playing football and basketball and travel ball and all that.
But in Mass, it was a little different because down here, like my best sport was baseball.
Right.
I ended up playing college baseball. It was my best sport. But in Massachusetts, you play all sports because it's seasonal.
Okay.
So I always, played everything. So in high school, I was goalie in soccer because I was athletic. I played basketball and I played baseball. So you play all sports. So when I was a kid, you play hockey. I didn't play hockey in high school because we didn't have a hockey team in my high school. And then I grew taller. I grew to 6'2", so I played basketball. But you play every season sports.
Oh, yeah. So
you're playing sports 12 months a year, but down here you might play, football or you might play baseball all year round.
Right.
So that's a little different. But yeah, I got through that, got to college and kind of bucked up in college and really started to be a student.
Okay.
And so in college I had better grades and really, but my grandfather put me through college. So without him, like he got me an apartment, as long as you get good grades, I had an apartment, I had things paid for. So that was a lot easier.
Right.
Not sure if I would have made it without that even.
Right. And he was actually influential in helping you getting started in your first business venture.
Huge influential.
Yeah.
So I graduated college in 92, in June of 92. And so I was going to wait till the winter time to go to Florida. I'm always going to go to Florida.
Right.
My grandmother bought a place in the 70s. I came down here. I fell in love with it. You're in Massachusetts and it's 10 degrees and you come here, it's 70. Come on.
Heaven.
Right. So what happened is my first time down here, I have no plan. I just come down here to come down here. I was going to wait till the winter, but I said no. I came in August of that year after I graduated college with no plan. I came with about $4,000 in my pocket. $4,000 doesn't last. This is 1992. It doesn't last.
Right.
So I came, it's funny, I came a week before the hurricane, the Hurricane Andrew, the famous Hurricane Andrew?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was coming. I was like 10 days before. I'm just going to get in my old beat up Mustang and go to Florida. So I get here, get an efficiency around here. Actually, it's in Hollywood. So I get in the efficiency, and the $4,000 goes quick. I'm 22 years old. I'm in shape. I'm got all my hair, I got everything, and I'm looking for young Latinas basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to the beach every day, and I'm just a bum basically. That 4,000 lasted about 3 months. Around here I'm going to High Line, the dog track, and I'm just trying to take girls out. So I became broke quick. So my grandfather gives me a job in Miami with an insurance company, a really good job. With my credentials, I had a degree in economics, and I worked that job for about a month, and I was getting paid about $1,300 a week. And back in '92, that's good money.
Yeah.
But I didn't like getting up in the morning to go to a boss that's going to tell me what to do. That's stupid at 22.
Yeah.
My mentality shouldn't have been that. I've only been working there like a month. So I quit. And my grandfather was pissed. My grandfather's like, "You quit?" I'm like, "I can't do it." He goes, "You can do it. You just don't want to do it." So finally we meet for lunch because he comes down here for 6 months. He's a snowbird. He comes down. So he meets me down here and we go to lunch. And he says, "Listen, what are you going to do? You can't be a bum." He goes, "Listen, if you want to be an entrepreneur like me and your father," and my father was an entrepreneur, he wasn't a great one. My grandfather was actually. I'll front you for a business, but you got to come to me in 30 days and basically, give me an idea, and you got to sell me on it. If it's a good idea, I'll fund it. So 30 days isn't a lot of time. So what do? You look for businesses. So what I was seeing, I saw these, I don't know if you know phone cards.
Oh, yeah.
Remember phone cards? So back in 92, this is late 92, actually early 93 at this point, like January, February 93. You go to convenience stores, they're everywhere. I'm talking about, you can't even see the cashier. It's phone cards. So I said, "What about these phone cards?" And I said, the only thing I see that's missing in the phone card business is they're all international, which is fine down here. Everybody's calling different countries. But back then you had long distance. That back then, if you call Massachusetts, like I call, people call New York from down here, it's long distance. There wasn't many or hardly any American phone cards like that call United States. So I just thought in my mind, USA Connect. I'll put it USA Connect. I don't even know anything about the phone card business. I go to a guy that's got like a Kinko's type of place. It wasn't Kinko's, but like that type of place. I said, can you make me a phone card if I pay you and put like a scratch off on the back of it? He goes, yeah. He makes that for me. I take it to Miami to the AT&T office with no interview. I have no appointment, nothing. I just walk in their office. I said, I talked to the guy, Gary, because I knew Gary was the phone card, the head of the phone card. I just looked it up. I said, I got an appointment with Gary at 1 o'clock. And she goes, you do? I go, yeah, absolutely. She brings in Gary, and he's an older guy. He's about 65, 70 years old. And he says, do I have an appointment with you? I said, absolutely. You don't remember? I'm the guy with the phone card, USA Connect. Okay, come to my office. I'm just wailing at this point. So he comes in. I show him the phone card. And I said, listen, my idea, and I made a poster too. Already made a poster, said USA Connect with flags and things like that. I need minutes now. If I'm going to do this phone card, I need somebody to back it with phone minutes.
Right.
So he says, I kind of like the idea. He says, but you got to buy like $10 million worth of minutes to be a player in this industry. I said, come on, man. I'm a hustler. I'm trying to get like 10 people out there to sell convenience stores in the South Florida area, open them up with posters and everything. He goes like, I don't know. He says, you're going to have to buy a minimum of like $300,000 worth of minutes. I said, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I said, I can maybe buy, because my grandfather's going to maybe give me 50 grand, but I got it in an office. I got to get other things. I said, I could buy $30,000 worth of minutes. So at first he says no. And then he thinks about it. He leaves and he comes back. He says, listen, I'm going to take a flyer on you. You're going to buy $30,000 worth of minutes. Yes. I said, but I need the rate like I'm buying that. He says, I'll try you out. I'll give you like 50 days. It was a weird number of days. It wasn't 30 or 60. It was like 50 days. And I'll give you the trial. Okay. I got to go back and pitch my grandfather. But here's the thing I knew my grandfather would say yes on. I asked the guy, can you put that in writing on the AT&T logo, on the letterhead?
Letterhead.
Don't put AT&T's involved with me. Don't put that you even endorse it. Don't only put that you'll give me the minutes. Because I know if my grandfather sees the AT&T letterhead, he's going to say yes. So he did. I bring back the letter to my grandfather, and he says, listen, how much do you think you need? I said, I need an office. I need to hire salespeople. I need phone cards. I need the minutes. And I need about 50 grand. And my grandfather gives it to me. And he says, you're going to pay me back $1,000 a month, which was nothing. Like, that's a great deal.
Oh, yeah.
No interest, of course, my grandfather. So I go out and hire like 10 like pretty girls, like Latin girls, and they go hustle up convenience stores, and they put USA Connect, they put the poster and everything, and literally within about 2 months, I have about 750 convenience stores, from Palm Beach to all the way to Monroe to like Key West.
Damn.
Oh yeah, these girls were hustlers, and so
people are gonna take it from a hot girl.
Yeah. These girls
not.
were like look like Ava Mendez or something. Like these girls were hot girls, and they're like early 20s and. It's girls I was trying to get. I mean, it's just it's a crazy time. It was a crazy time because we're in an office where, like, they're coming in with orders, and I'm like, yeah, this guy needs 500, this guy needs 300, and it's like, it's bonkers. And I'm just turned 23 years old. I don't know anything about business. I've been to school for economics, but economics is different.
Right.
It still helps you, by the way. And so what happened? Here's the big thing. Within 3-4 months. I go from making the first couple months I was making about in my pocket about maybe $7,000-8,000. Like not getting rich, but that's good money for 23 years old in 90s. Here's the thing. This is what put it over the top. The girls were getting accounts. The sales were decent, but not great. And I go to the AT&T office. Do you like how it's going? They go, yeah, we like it. And I didn't think they were going to say yes. And I said, is there any way you can put AT&T's logo on the bottom right? You put minutes by AT&T, not endorsed. This is an AT&T card, just minutes, because the minutes were by AT&T. And so he said yes, but very small print, but you could see the AT&T. Sales went crazy after that. Sales went from literally, I was making $7-8 grand a month. Like the peak month, about a year in, I was making probably $65,000 to $75,000 a month in my pocket.
Damn.
Yeah, as a 23-year-old kid, and the girls were making probably $2-3 grand a week at the height. So here's where I'm not a great CEO. I'm not a great, in corporate. I'm a great hustler. I'm a great salesman. I'm a great putting it together. But I don't realize this, is that about a year and a half in, when I made my biggest month, I probably put $85,000 in my bank account. And I'm high as a kite because, listen to me, I went out and got an apartment in Hollandale Beach, like right next to the Diplomat, where the Diplomat is now. I got a BMW, And from one day to the next, my sales went from the $85,000 a month to about me making hardly anything. And what do you think that was? I mean, AT&T sees me making all this, and they make a card.
Oh, I
basically showed you the industry, which is fine. I mean, they can do that, and I should have saw that. But they took probably about 8-9 months to develop it. They're not going to put it right out there like me. And so about a year, not even a year and a half in, maybe about 15 months in, they put a card out called America Connect, but by AT&T.
Yeah, so they're going to go with the brand. The people are going to go with the brand.
Right.
But you showed them how to do it. You laid
the
groundwork.
I really did set the blueprint of that. So, but I'm a big boy, and I realized, and so I had to whittle down the office where I went from 10 girls to like 3, and then eventually, within like 4 or 5 months, I just stopped it. Yeah. And then I started my pattern. So what happened was I stopped it in early '94, and in early '94, what are you gonna do? But I got $300,000 in the bank as a 23-year-old kid. Now that's some money.
Yeah. Paid grandpa back?
I paid him all $50,000 back.
Yeah.
He didn't want it. He says, no, you sure? And I said, no, Pupper, I called him. Pupper, I got it. And I gave it to him, the $50,000, which was very good. Because my father borrowed money from him for years and never paid him back a dime.
Right.
He hated that. My father had a lot of businesses. It's easy to have a business when you don't have to pay back my grandfather. It's like a free loan. So my father was a hustler, but he never paid my grandfather back. So my grandfather liked that. And now what am I going to do, though? But I got $300,000. So I sat back for literally a year, maybe even a little over a year. And that's when I met my wife and we got together. So, at that time, I got the business mind, but I'm not saying I'm lazy, but you got a cushion now.
Yeah.
You're not, you're
relaxing a little bit.
You're relaxing a little bit. So here's how I find the next business. This is crazy because I'm about to marry my wife. We're going to get married in about a month. So I've known her about a year and a half now. And this is mid '95. I go to Claire's Boutiques. You ever heard of Claire's Boutiques?
Absolutely. A little earring place in the middle of the mall.
Right, exactly. I go to Claire's Boutiques, and what's happening is that there's mostly a teenage girls' accessory place. I'm going there for my niece to buy a birthday present. So what happened was I see these girls buying these stickers, like sheets of stickers. And I'm like, what? And the guy says, that'll be $19.95 for 3 sheets of stickers. What? Excuse me. So the $19.95 for 3 sheets of stickers, I'm like, are you serious? I tell my wife I want to talk to these girls, but I don't want to be a weirdo. They're 12 years old. But they say, yeah, we buy them all the time. We buy these every week. And I'm like, what? You buy them every week? And he goes, yeah. And you pay $19.95. So I couldn't get my mind around that. That's it's insanity. So they buy the stickers, and I say, you buy them consistently at that price, though, because it's boggling my mind that the profit margin has to be huge. So what happened was I said, I think I can get a business out of this. I don't know how, but I think I can get a business out of this. So what I did was I thought about selling stickers, but how am I going to sell them? I don't have a store, but I thought about vending machines or photo booths. Remember the old photo booths? Mm-hmm. So the photo booth is basically something that you sit in, takes your picture. What if it took your picture and put it onto stickers? Put your face in the middle of $1 million bill, your face in the middle of a Halloween theme for Halloween or Christmas with Santa Claus. I don't even know how this can be made. So I look up a company called Namco. You remember Namco?
Yeah, they've done games. And
right,
stuff
games
like
and stuff,
yeah.
right. Japanese company.
Yep.
But they got a base in New York here. So I call them and I said, listen, what about a machine that would take your picture, put it onto stickers, like a sheet of stickers, 16 stickers, like postage stamp size, but you could peel off and you could use. Kids would love it. They said, wow, that's a pretty good idea. They could have stole it. But I said, my idea is to make a machine, like a photo booth or something like that. So they said a photo booth would be too big and awkward. What about just a stand-up machine with a backing? Like with a backing so you couldn't see the back and you could take a picture. Mm-hmm. They said, we can make that machine for you. I said, can you make a prototype? And they said, yeah, we're going to take a flyer on you. We're going to make a prototype. Now, at this time, I don't know about business opportunities. Like to sell this machine would be a biz op. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what a biz op is at this time, but a biz op is basically when you sell somebody an opportunity, you have to be registered with the FTC. Mm-hmm. You have to be registered in any state that you deal with. Now, you don't have to get every state, but you can't sell the state if you're not registered in it.
Right.
And every state has a price, literally, like New York, I think is like $500 back then, and Florida was like $300. So you have to send a disclosure statement with anybody who wants to buy. The disclosure statement tells about your history, your credit history, like everything to do with the company. So it actually helps sales. They think you're transparent, but you have to do it. So the guy said, if you want to sell this, you're going to have to be a business opportunity. So I went to a lawyer, and he said, you're going to have to get licensed. I got licensed. I got a sales office and got salespeople and did advertising. So I sold 3 of those machines for $20,000 because they would charge me like $5,500 for that machine. And at first I started selling for 20 grand, but that's not a good enough margin after paying salespeople. So I learned.
Right.
So I started selling 3 machines for $25,000. And this is like with the film and the stickers and everything like that to get you set up. Now here's what put me over the top. Do you know where Claire's Boutiques was headquartered at that time? Coincidentally, they had like 800 stores, but back then they were
in Florida,
Pembroke Pines, like right there. Like that's like insane. So I go there and they say, we'll give you the locations if you have somebody to buy. So it's built-in locations. So if somebody bought from me in Syracuse, New York, there'd be a Claire's Boutiques there that they could put it in. That blew up sales. So I was selling back then, not on the internet, because like eventually I sold only on the internet. But this is 95, 96. I'm selling through like Wall Street Journal, in newspapers individually. You remember the business opportunity section in newspapers?
Yeah.
That thing. I was selling an Entrepreneurial magazine, those type of
like
places.
the Trader magazine.
Trader magazines, yeah. Right. So they would call in. I'd send them a business package through the mail, and they would decide to buy. Like some people would come to see me, but most people not. They'd do it over the phone. They'd check my company out, and they would do business. That was my first kind of biz op. Now here's the thing. They gave me a 3-year contract from 95 to like the end of 97. And I sold, I would have to sell at least 50 machines a month, but I was selling probably about more like 75, 80 machines a month. I kept going with that. They were great people, great support. They helped me with sales. Unlike ReddBull, we'll talk about that later, but they really helped me. Namco was a good company. Mm-hmm. But after 3 years, no way, we got it. Like they didn't even consider like giving me extended, we like you, but we have a 3-year deal and now we're going to take over. So they took over the machine at the 3-year mark.
But you were clipping what off each machine?
I was, for 3 machines, I'd pay about $15,000 for the machines. I'd pay the salesperson. I'd pay for advertising. For a 3-machine, $25,000 deal, I was probably in my pocket making $5,000.
Okay.
Off that deal. That's like after paying overhead, everything.
So that was a good 3-year run.
Oh yeah, I was making. So at the end of that 3 years, I probably had maybe a little less than $1 million in the bank.
Okay.
Maybe $850,000, $900,000 in the bank. This is like the beginning of '98, end of '97, beginning of '98. But again, now I have no opportunity. And my salespeople said, "What are we gonna do?" I said, "Go get a job, I guess, somewhere or something." You know what I mean? Like they're relying on me. And it's funny because I did the same pattern. I this time I stayed by the pool. Now I have a house. My daughter just was born in '97, so I have a family now. And so I was a bum for about a year, like a pool bum, and taking my daughter to places. She's like 1.5, and I'm taking her, like in my mind, I'm the dad that at 1.5, 2 years old, I'm taking my daughter to the track, right. And like that kind of thing, like taking. But so I was just a family guy, but really a bum. But I have $1 million in the bank. So in the end of '98. My wife is kind of going, "Hey, you gonna do something? Like you're gonna even 800 grand goes if you're not investing it or something." And I wasn't. I was just spending, and still had good money. But I'm looking for ideas at this point. I said, "Okay, I'll start looking." And this is how the next one came about. The next one came about where people can relate to this because anybody can do this, but not anybody can start the business. Like people have great ideas, and what are you gonna do with that? Like when they look at a product, they say, "Oh, I thought of that first." You probably did. Or maybe you didn't. Or maybe you thought about it, the first person in the world to think about it. But what did you do about it?
Correct. That's where people stop. They have the idea, and then it's just they never follow through with it.
Right. It's like the same person that says, "Oh my God, this guy won the lottery. Why can't I win the lottery?" You don't even play.
Yeah.
Like you got to play. So what's happening is like most people don't want to take the chance. They don't have the money to take the chance. They don't know how to do the business, and they don't want to take that leap of faith. Because the leap of faith is, a lot of businesses fail.
Yeah. Like,
would you rather, keep making $20, $25 an hour? And this is not to denigrate anybody who has a job. I respect anybody that stays with a job and all that. But it takes some cojones to be your own boss. It really does. Especially when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
20s is scary. Like, you're bold, but it's still scary. Because, I had a little crutch with my grandfather. I didn't want to use it. But at that time, so I'm looking for ideas. But I'm looking for ideas that are on the rise. This is the 3 things you have to look at. Because I make it sound easy. You got to think of something on the rise. You got to think of something you can get a wholesale price on. Okay? Which is almost anything. And I'll tell you how to do it. And the third thing by far is that you have to like start the business with a realistic number. When I say that, you have to pay yourself. You still have to pay yourself. Like people look at a year's budget for a business, and you don't even give yourself money to pay bills.
Yeah.
So the stress that you're on is crazy. You have to really budget being able to live that life too. And so when I see these opportunities, I know how to do that, but other people don't. So that's like a whole tutorial of somebody. They should teach that in college. They should teach that in like some kind of online course. What do you do in between there?
Yeah.
When you have the idea to actually fruition, that's something I became a master course on. Like I could teach an MBA course on that. But it's kind of a weird hustler thing. And so the next one, I was at Publix with my wife. I look over and I see these gumball machines. And I'm like, there's still gumball machines out there? And every supermarket still had them. This is $98.99. And I'm watching two kids go up to the gumball machine and open it up. And I don't realize this either. They pick their nose and get the gumball. There's no sanitation in it, but you don't realize it because it's a kid's thing, right? And I look at kids, they bought like 3 gumballs. People still buy gumballs, right? They don't have the machine there for looks. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, like that's just racking my brain that's still a business. But I thought to myself, what if they had a sanitation product, something that could be sanitized? Because I don't like the aspect of the gumball just putting your hands up there where everybody's. Mm-hmm. And what about if it was an adult or a kid product? Because an adult's not going to buy a gumball.
Right.
But what if I'm thinking I don't know what this product's going to be, but an adult and kid product and something that's sanitary. So I got to look for that. And I found it by just walking the aisles of Publix. This is end of 98. And what was out there was the Hershey chocolate nuggets. Remember the nuggets?
Yeah.
They weren't Kisses. They were nuggets. They were like square and stuff. They had cookies and cream. They had different flavors. They just came out in 98. And so I said, what if I could make a gumball machine, or somebody could, to retrofit the Hershey chocolates? I couldn't put Hershey's on the side, but I can put a clear machine that shows the chocolates. An adult would buy that, right? Mm-hmm. A kid would buy that, right? And it's sanitary. It's wrapped.
Wrapped.
So I go to a manufacturer. I said, it's got a company named CDI in Miami. They made gumball machines. I said, could you retrofit a gumball machine to make a Hershey chocolate, and to make it where if you flip it, you can choose and then put the coin in and then put it and pull it? And they go, yeah, absolutely. And I go, how much would that be? Because I don't know. It's a gumball machine. It's not a great, it's a stand-up machine. You can bolt to the ground if you want. They said, how many do you think you could buy in a month? I said, what about $1,000 a month? They're like, you're never going to do that. I said, what about $1,000 a month? Well, we'll give it to you for $80 a piece. Okay, bet. So I put together 30 machines plus $1,000 worth of candy for $10,000. So it looks great. If you don't know how much that machine is, you think the machine might be $250, $200. I'm giving them $1,000 worth of candy, but they don't know I'm paying $80 for the machine.
Right.
So there's $80 for the machine is $2,400 for 30. $1,000 worth of candy is $3,400. So I had some margin in that sale. And at the time, this is 98. You know how many people had 10,000 for an extra business? Millions.
Yeah.
And you could put out 30 machines at like a laundromat, at a takeout restaurant, at a Jiffy Lube auto, just an extra chocolate or something like that.
While they're waiting. Yeah.
Kind of simple, right? Okay. So I started selling those, but here's what happened. The internet starts to come out a little bit. 98, 99, the internet, people are starting to advertise. But the way I started to advertise was legal, but it wasn't people didn't like it. It was called spam.
Yeah.
Remember spam? Yeah. I had a lady named Jan Brown out in Arizona. She could send out like 1 million out within like an hour. Now, what I put on it is profit off of America's #1 selling chocolates. I didn't put Hershey. I can't put Hershey.
Right.
But I could put profit off America's #1 selling chocolate. They're going to know it's Hershey. And I show the machine, and I show the advertisement for 30. Now, do I get some crazies that call me up? You spam me. I'm going to kill your mother. I'm going to kill your salespeople. They would press beep for like an hour. Okay, you get a lot of that, but you get a lot of response too. Like the spam was unbelievable. I would give her, I think it was like $1,500 or $2,000 to send out 1 million, and I would probably get about $400 to $500 response. I did that for about 4 months and was selling like crazy. I sold in the first 4 months about 4,000 machines. So CDI is great. They love it and everything. But Hershey calls me up and says, I don't know if this is, I want you to do this. And I don't know if it's even legal to use our name. I said, I'm not using your name. So I go up to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I meet with them. And they say, listen, we're going to put a kibosh on this. We don't want you to do it. I said, well, I think I'm going to get a lawyer. I don't think there's anything wrong with what I'm doing. And I go in there, and there's a boardroom that's like like you've never seen in your life, like a movie. A boardroom holds like 100 people. And this is like 9 o'clock in the morning in Hershey, Pennsylvania. They're all Hershey executives. And they're lined up down and they're all eating Eggs Benedict. Like all of them. And they serve it, and they served me. It was good Eggs Benedict, by the way. And it was like surreal. Like it was like a caricature boardroom. You know those ones you see in the like 100 people. And they're looking at me like I got my machine. I got my Hershey machine. I'm like look like a junior executive, right? So the one Hershey vice president looks at me and says, "What's in it for us, for Hershey?" And I knew I had him when he said that. I said, "Listen, okay, I'm going to tell you this. I've sold about, at this point, 4,000 or 5,000 machines. And, I know that you think that's not a lot, but say out of the 5,000 machines, Mr. Jones, in a day at a laundromat, how many chocolates do you think people would buy in a whole 12-hour day?" The guy thinks, he says, "Probably about 40. Okay, let's take 40. That's 40 chocolates per machine. I have 5,000 machines out. Okay? So you do the math. That's, 5,000 machines at 40 chocolates a day. That's 200,000 chocolates a day. Okay? That's 1.4 million chocolates a week. That's about 70 million chocolates a year. And do you know how much it costs you to get those 70 million chocolates out? Nothing. That's just through my machines. And I want to get 20, 30,000 machines out there." And they're like, "Okay, I see it now." It becomes real to them.
Right.
And I'm just trying to advertise. And I don't use the word Hershey in your ads. I know that's not legal. And so they said, "Okay, we give you a blessing." So I started cranking that out. So for about a year and a half, I sold about 22,000 of those machines. And now I have about $1.5 million in the bank, and I'm like, life's great. So I went from literally 1 week, every week I would probably make like 20, 25 grand in my pocket. And I went from making 20, 25 grand in 1 week to making hardly anything the next week. Again, not a great CEO, right? Do you think you can guess what happened on that one? Okay. Think about this. And I thought about it, but it went out of my mind. I can't make a patent on a gumball machine.
So they copied you again.
No, there's 10 different companies out there in the United States that make gumball machines, not just CDI in Miami. So they see me advertising like crazy. It takes a while for them to see me, but I'm out there on the internet like crazy, sending all these spams. So one of these manufacturing places, like who knows where it is, California, Michigan, that makes gumballs says, "Wait a minute, he's selling 30 machines for 10 grand? We can make those machines for like $60, $70 our cost, sell them to the people for like 150 and be happy. They don't even have to buy 30. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they undercut you.
So they made the same machine and went online and started advertising, like buy 3 machines for like $500. It's not really undercutting. It's really just making the same thing I made.
Yeah.
I went to CDI to make it. They made it themselves.
Yeah.
So, they started pushing that out there hard, and that, I can't sell 30 machines for, including 1,000 chocolates for 10 grand anymore.
Yep.
That's pretty much out. So I whittled that one down, and the same thing happened. But now I got a really good money in the bank, and I'm a family man. My daughter's like going to kindergarten at this point. This is like 2001, 2002. And so I spent about a year and a half as a dad, like a neighborhood dad. And it was getting ridiculous because like in the middle of the day, I'm playing wiffle ball with the kids. I'm getting a dodgeball game going on. My wife is just shaking her head. I'm by the pool all the time. I'm just, I'm thinking about things to do. So she's just like, oh God, right? And I would do things just to like keep myself busy. Mm-hmm. Like I was getting a credit with the, you don't know this because you're not from down here, but there was something called Florida for Cosmetic Surgery. They had this jingle called Florida for Cosmetic Surgery. Just everybody knows it down here. Mm-hmm. And they were selling, breast enhancements.
Right.
So in 2003, my wife got breast enhancements. So everybody in the neighborhood guys are like, "Hey, get my wife to do it." So I was getting a commission. I got like 10 women in the neighborhood to get them. And I was getting commission. I didn't need the money, just for a goof, right? My wife was just like, "You got to get something to do." And so my next one was everybody said get an ATM machines because people don't realize this, and I was shocked that 90% of ATM machines are owned by individuals.
Yeah.
Like even at the bank, I went to Trust Bank the other day, right? If you have a problem with the ATM, Trust gives you to the person to own. Trust doesn't even own the ATM machine. Mm-hmm. So, and forget about the ones at the airport and the strip club and in the mall and all that. That's owned by people.
Yep.
Okay.
Most of the owners, because those high rates, especially the strip clubs, it's like $10 to get money out.
Exactly. So But you would think the bank would own. A lot of times, no, they're not in that business. Like they provide it for service. But literally, like it says Truist on it, and it's not. Truist doesn't own that ATM machine. So I didn't know that. So this is like 2003. And I said, man, that sounds like a great business. But here's the thing. A lot of investors love that business. Here's the one reason why they don't want to get involved. If you have 10 machines out there, 10 ATM machines, making $2 a transaction, that's great. You can make great money. If you have 10 machines, you got to put $40,000 in each machine. So you have to have $400,000 for 10 machines. You don't lose that money. It just always floats.
Yeah.
So you don't get interest on it. You get the business going.
Right.
But people don't like that. You have to though. Okay.
But don't you have to cut, like, depending on where you are? Like,
of course.
My dad runs a couple convenience stores in there where we live at, and he had a guy come out there, and I forgot what it said at. Just say if it said at $3, I think they split it 50-50, $1 and a half each.
Yeah, I would say most places they either 60-40, 70-30 split or 50-50.
Yeah.
There's some places you can convince them that'll help your business so much that just let me do it.
Yeah.
Some places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like if you're charging $2-3, the guy knows that, hey, I want a piece of that, which is fine.
Especially if it's a cash business. Like I got a buddy that he does tattoos,
right.
and he just did it himself because he was like, when I seen how much money that guy was making, he was just like, all right, we're done. And then he went and bought one himself because he only takes cash.
Exactly.
So when somebody comes in and was like, well, I ain't got a car, he's like, right up here in the corner.
Right. And so the crazy part about that is that the people that have like 2 or 3, 4, 5 machines just starting out, those are the people that don't really have the money to put in the machine yet. Like they're trying to hustle you can't really hustle this business on no money because you have to keep the money in the machine. So that's the point where I can't go after the same people that went after the Hershey chocolate machine. I can't go after the same crowd. Mm-hmm. But here's the twist that I found out. You ever heard of script ATM machines? They're called cashless.
Yeah.
You bring a piece of paper up. And in 2003, it's not really known, but I found this out online that they sell these script machines that just takes a piece of paper up to the cashier and gives it. Now, not all locations are going to do that, but some locations will do it because they know if you give cash to the person, they're more apt to get more stuff there. But it's tougher to get locations, to be honest with you, because you're getting a piece of paper, you have to be inside the place. But here's the kicker. When I started doing that business as a business opportunity, there was McDonald's that called me up in California, independent McDonald's that said, I want that machine. So that really put me over the top. I had investors in California that could put in McDonald's locations. I did that for about a year, but it wasn't a home run. I sold machines, yes, but it wasn't. I could tell it wasn't going to be a home run. But I still made profit, made good money, and within about a year, I shut it down and said, you know what, this is not long term because there's not a lot of people that want to take the script as a location. So I don't want to sell 10 machines to somebody and they can't find a location. Mm-hmm. There's going to be trouble. That's not going to be good. So I stopped that on my own, not because I wasn't making a living, but it's just I could see it trouble with the locations. There's only so many locations for that.
Right. Yeah, and that's the key in ATM.
It really is. It really is.
Foot traffic and
right. So with a cash machine, you could put that almost anywhere there's foot traffic. With a script, you have to find somebody in the store that was willing to take the script and pay it out of their register, which is not impossible, but it's a lot tougher.
Right.
So in early 2004, again, I'm in between things. And this is where the ReddBull opportunity comes on. So in 2004, I have literally like every day, 10, 15 of my ex-salespeople calling me, what are you going to do again? And I'm like, man, you should just go get a job. Like you relied on me every time. Are you waiting for me to do another business and like saving money to, like, I don't want you to do that. And they're like, well, we love you as a boss. Because I'd be generous and pay great commissions and stuff. Because I was making money. I want everybody to make money. So this is when I found the ReddBull opportunity. So I'm looking for things that are on the rise. And in 2004, I'm going to convenience stores and I'm asking the guy, like, what's the deal with this ReddBull stuff? He's like, you don't even know. We sell like crazy. What is it, an energy drink? So I drink it and I don't even love the taste. I'm like, all right, I understand it. But every convenience store is telling me we do crazy numbers with ReddBull. We sell Monster and at the time Rockstar and Amp and everything, but we sell a lot of ReddBull because they're doing the most advertising. They were the first to the. So I said, how can I get into this ReddBull business? I can't be a distributor. They already have bottlers that do that. And so I kind of racked my brain. How do I get involved with energy drinks? And what I thought, and this came to my first thing that came to my mind was they're all not traditional size cans. They're all weird size cans. ReddBull was 8 ounce. This is in 2004. They didn't even have sugar-free yet. They didn't have the big one. They had an 8 ounce can. Monster was huge, remember?
Yep.
You know,
They're still big
Rockstar
like
was
that,
huge.
yeah.
Nobody was traditional 12-ounce cans. Right? Like vending is made for 12-ounce cans
Right.
back in the day. So really, it's tough to get a machine to put these products in. So I go to a manufacturer called Sega Manufacturing out of Chicago. Not the Sega that makes video games, but just they're a manufacturer of vending machines. And this guy kept going to trade shows and bugging me. Hey, what are you going to do next? Because he knows I can sell. He literally told me at trade shows, I can make anything for you. Just bring me an idea. I always remembered that. And so I call him up. I said, I got an idea. I want 8 energy drinks, all the different energy drinks, ReddBull, Rockstar, Amp, anything. We sold Crunk. I mean, like, this is back 2004.
Yeah.
Can you make a machine that retrofits all the sizes? He says, that's going to be tough. I said, can you? You know I can sell. You've been asking me about, getting involved for a long time. He says, give me a couple months. So he makes a prototype machine. And it's not gorgeous, but it's a push-button display. Remember the can? You can see the can.
Yep.
There's 8. It's a generic-looking machine. It's stand up about 5 foot tall, has 8 selections. It's not gorgeous, but it's serviceable. He makes it so all the cans can fit in there, which was a tough job. I mean, that's a good job he did. So he puts it out there, and he shows it to me, and I said, listen, I think it will do. It's not sexy, but I think it'll do. So I put Energy Center on the side. I thought it was a good name, the Energy Center. And I made wrapping around it and everything. So the machine, like I said, it was decent looking, but it was no state of the art.
Right.
We start selling that. He charges me for that machine about $2,000, like $1,900 he was selling me for. So I was selling 3 machines for that in the beginning for $15,000. So 3 machines, but including the drinks, which I stopped quickly because I didn't want to be a drink guy. What am I gonna have, a warehouse or something? But at the beginning, I would include like literally like 1,000 Red Bulls and 1,000 this and 1,000 that, which was kind of a chore, but it would help them get that involved. And
now, how were you buying the Red Bull?
That's a good question. First I was going to Costco, and it's going to sound crazy, but even back then, Costco, a Red Bull was like $1.23, $1.24.
Right.
Monster was like $1.18, something like that. Then I started going to the distributors. But then I stopped when I did that because it's logistically, I just want to sell the machine. So within about 2 months, I stopped giving the cans and just stole the machine. So instead of 3 for $15,000, I started selling 3 for $12,000 with no cans.
And they stock it themselves.
Like I would give them places to go buy it, but I didn't want to be a warehouse. Like I never did that before.
Right.
So the machine started doing well. They were all the choices. Like to be honest with you, if you want to put a Coke in there, you could. It's made for energy drinks, and I'll tell you why. Here's the big reason. If say Wade, you were the first person. They took away all Coke machines in the United States, and you were the first person to put out Coke machines. You think you can get a good location?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in 2004, you probably would be tougher to get a great location because all Coke machines are everywhere, right?
Right.
Okay. But these are energy drinks.
Dude.
You put it right next to a Coke machine, and energy drinks for a refreshment. This is for energy. So there's no machines out, so you get in the first locations, right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. Like you get a location, I already have a Coke machine. This isn't a Coke machine. This is an energy drink machine. And they would let the person in there because they'd put it right next to the Coke machine.
Yep. So
that was a great pitch with that. I started selling that machine in early 2004 and sold about 3,000 of those machines until what was the date? Early August 2005. This is what happens. I'm in the middle. I've sold 3,300 of these machines. I have an office. I have about 10 salespeople. I have about 5 customer service. I'm making in my pocket about 15, 20 grand a week. I'm good. Life is good. And then on a Friday, I'm cutting checks. And I was kind of old school. You call it weird, but I would literally pay everybody. I didn't have a payroll company. You come in and I give you your check. I'd write it out. Like I had 20 employees, so it wasn't a huge amount. But on a Friday, I'm the one that giving the check. Maybe I felt like a big shot. Yeah. So I'm giving out all the checks, and I'm trying to get out of there by 5 o'clock with my wife to go to South Beach. We used to stupidly go to like maybe, like a hotel for the weekend and go to South Beach, So back then, like, you spend an extra money. You live in a nice house. Why are you doing that? But I like to do that. Put on the robe on a Friday night and then, Yeah. So it was about 4:45 on the Friday. And my secretary, this lady named Savannah says, hey, there's 3 guys out in the lobby. And one guy says he's the owner and founder of ReddBull. His name is Dietrich. I'm like, what? Unannounced. And I know that Dietrich, these guys are from Austria. I'm in Sunrise, Florida on university. And like, this guy's, I think she's joking or something. I don't even know, right? So I opened my door of my office. And, back then I was stupid. I had a big office of like 1,000 square foot office. You could putt in and stuff just for, just to make myself look good. So I looked down the hall where my entrance, the lobby is. because I got a TV there and there's a couch. There's 3 guys sitting on a couch. And I look down. I don't know what this Dietrich guy looks like. I know he owns ReddBull. His last name was Warnschitz. It was a weird name. He's Austrian. I look him up. I go to my office, look him up, and I look up his picture. He's like a 60-year-old guy with gray hair. At the time, he's like late 50s. He just died actually like about this year. Early, like last year, middle last year. But anyways, I can see that it's him on the middle. There's 2 other guys. And what I don't realize, it's him, this guy named Gary Smith. He was the head of ReddBull North America. They were based in California out of Santa Monica. And the other one was a lawyer. I don't know this yet. I'm just looking down. They come in my office, and I say, welcome. He says, my name's Dietrich, and this is, Gary Smith. This is the lawyer's name. I forget the lawyer's name. They said, we want to talk to you. Okay. Couldn't you call? Unannounced, really? Oh, we were in town for something. Come on. You're in town from Austria, like in Sunrise, Florida? Come on. And they're trying to convince me at that time to look good. Yeah, we're here. We're trying to get Jeremy McGrath. They're trying to sign him. And I don't think Jeremy McGrath lives in Florida. Like, I'm trying to call him on their BS. But I said, what do you need? They said, well, that in your lobby is that machine. What do you call it? The Energy Center, he said. He's got a deep accent. He sounds like Schwarzenegger. He's from Austria, like Schwarzenegger is. I said, well, that's a machine that we're selling. We sell 3 of those machines for $12,000. I've already sold 3,300. No way you sold 3,300 of these. I'm like, what? Why would you say that? Why are you here? So he proceeds to go in his briefcase and he pulls out a picture of this gorgeous machine. I mean, it's 6 foot tall, a bubble front. It's shaped like a ReddBull can. I'm like, damn. I'd never seen that machine in my life. I said, that's beautiful. And I also said, there's only 3 people in the country, in the world actually, that could make that type of machine. The bubble front, it's tough to make those, like in vending. Right. I said, Dixie Narco, National, or Royal. It's one of those, without a doubt. He goes, yeah, Royal makes it. I go, I know Royal. They're out of West Virginia. I know who they are. I said, how many machines have you put out in the last year? He says, we'll put out about 500. I was like, now I know why you're here. Royal probably thought you were going to be the next Coca-Cola. You put up 500 machines just in a year? He goes, well, we're trying to test it. I'm like, no, I know Royal's telling you that, man, you only bought 500 machines in a year? I thought you were a player. So here's the thing. They wanted to put out 30,000, 40,000 machines right away to get the marketing out, to get the ReddBull name out, to get the beautiful machine out. They could either buy that for $2,400 a piece times 30,000 machines. That would cost them about $75 million. Right. So they have $75 million. This is 2004. I mean, early 2005. They already got a soccer team. They got a Formula One. This guy's got money. Or they can look for somebody to put it out themselves, like me, that have sold the Energy Center. And if I can sell that machine, I could surely sell that machine, right?
Right.
So why not get 30,000 machines out for nothing? For zero. Get me to sell it. So they said, how'd you like to sell this machine? I said, yeah, absolutely. Now all I see is number signs, and I see the pretty girl, like ReddBull's the pretty girl. I should have leverage at that point. They came to me. I should be a CEO and say, well, I need this, this, and that. And I'm just like giddy now. Like, damn, I can kill this machine. So they said, how many of these machines you think you could sell in a month? I go, you name it. I could you really want a number? I could sell easily 3,000-4,000 of these a month. Oh, no way. No, I said, yes. I could Royal make that many? Oh yeah, Royal can make that many. Are you sure you could? I said, yes. Here's the 3 things I did wrong at that point. I signed a contract with them, but just a buy-sell contract. With a 90-day notice, though. If anybody's going to cancel, it's 90 days. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a buy-sell. I can buy the machines for this amount, and they give me permission to buy it from Royal. Exclusivity, too. I'm the only one. During that 2.5 year period, I was the only one in the world that you can get a ReddBull machine from. If somebody called ReddBull, then they'd say, go to Creative Concepts of America, because I kept my limit, the number that they gave me every month to sell, I easily hit that. But here's the thing that really I dropped the ball on. So the guy in Sega, he treated me well. He's got a nice machine that I've been selling, right? But now he's like the redheaded stepchild. He's like, he's like the girl that's cute, but she's not gorgeous. Right. So I stopped selling the Energy Center. The reason I did, because I don't want somebody to call in saying, which one should I buy? Which one's better? So I got to crap on one of them. So I stopped selling, which I shouldn't have, because in hindsight, they sell ReddBull and everything else. This just sells ReddBull.
Right.
But it does say ReddBull on it. So to sell it to the investor, that's going to be easier. But in hindsight, to sell to the public is going to be more of a pigeonholed thing.
Yeah, because if you don't like Red Bull, you're gonna bypass them.
Right.
And I personally am not a fan of Red Bull.
Me neither.
I drink Monsters.
Right.
And I was a rock star guy.
Yeah, I used to drink. I used to
like
like Amp for some reason.
Yeah.
But I didn't like Red Bull. It tasted like medicine.
Unless I'm doing like Red Bull and Jaeger shots or something like that.
Right, of course.
I drink Red Bull, yeah.
But I don't care if I don't like it. I'm going to make money from it. But I'm saying, but I was not a fan. No, I was not a fan. So what happened was I started selling in August of 2005, such on the Red Bull machine, and I could have sold 10,000 a week, but they couldn't make that. I could have sold anything. I got to curtail it back. They said sell anything. So the first month and a half, I sold about 8,000. And Royal called me up and says, we can't make that much. What? Red Bull told me you could make it. You just go out there and sell. They can make it. Oh no! And they kept saying we need this machine to make that many. This. They keep saying they need this new machine. I go, well, ask Red Bull for it. It's their machine. Yeah, but it's going to be like 300,000. I go, you buy it then. I just bought 8,000 machines from you. 8,000 machines at $2,400. Oh, we don't make that much on the machine. Don't tell me that. Like, charge me $200-300 more. I just bought 8,000 machines from you. Tell me you don't make that much money off the machine.
Yeah.
So they say, this is how eager I am and how much I'm not a CEO, is that they said, I said, how much is the machine? They said, it's about 300,000. I said, well, I will buy it. But I want you to put in writing that you'll be able for me to do more volume. They did. And so I bought the machine. They probably still have to this day. Back then, to make the machines quicker. Mm-hmm. And of course, Red Bull should have bought it. It's their machine.
Yeah, it was a drop in a bucket for them.
Right. So I go from making probably 10,000-15,000 a week which is a great living, by the way, with the energy center, to now I'm making like 300,000 a week.
Jesus
and
Christ.
What do you do? Like, I mean, I'm making 300,000-400,000 a week, a profit. And so, but I go from 10 salespeople to like 100 salespeople. I'm getting so many leads. Like I'm advertising online, and people saying, "Where do you advertise?" And I tell them all I advertise is in business opportunity sites. One was called Franchise Gator. That was actually the best. It sounds hokey, Franchise Gator. Mm-hmm. That was insane. The reason why is that I would pay to be on the front page of these places. You know who's on the front page of them? McDonald's, Jiffy Lube Auto, Burger King, franchises. So they don't know I'm paying $100,000 to be on the front page. But when you're paying $100,000, you're next to McDonald's. I mean, come on. So this.
And how long would that run when you paid for that? How long would that?
$100,000 a month.
Oh, it's $100,000.
But I'm getting crazy.
But if you're making 300,000 a week, that's not a bad investment.
Oh no, but I'm saying I'm on a lot of sites, and this is all marketing costs, right? This is all marketing costs. So, and yes, it's just crazy. It's just I could have sold more machines. They can't make them. I mean, I literally could have. You name it, I could have sold whatever you want. And so, what's crazy about it is that, like I said, I'm not a good CEO, so I had to get like 100 salespeople, like 30 customer service people. And how do you grow and how does your office get bigger? Like I only had space for like 25 people. So it was crazy. I had an office on University and 44th in Sunrise. And this is a whole office complex with 2 stories with all kinds of offices. I started buying offices out. The only one I couldn't buy off was this Strax Rejuvenation, which is another place that did enhancements and stuff. But everybody else, like I would say, what's your lease? You want to move? I'll pay you more money. Like I just needed space. So I was getting, it was kind of like cookie cutter where I wouldn't get it. All the offices weren't next to each other. Like one was up there. I'm everywhere. So I'd have to kind of walk around everywhere to go to different offices. You see what I'm saying? So it was just it was kind of a whirlwind. So here's what happened. I'm selling like crazy. Everything is good. But Red Bull's telling me they're going to help me with sales. They're going to put out, the girls that came out with the Red Bull teams with the cars.
Oh, yeah.
Never did that. They told me they were going to help with locations. Never did that. They were even adversarial. Like I told you this story, and I'm telling people, and I can't believe this happened, but some of my people would really hustle up great locations, like, for instance, Publix. A couple of people outside of Publix. And Publix said yes. Or Walmart. And the Red Bull bottler would see that and said, oh, like I didn't even know they had a machine. That looks gorgeous. I want a machine. And like would tell the people into Publix, get that guy out of there. Even though he has a contract with you, one of my distributors, get him out of there. I want to put a machine there. And Red Bull should have told that distributor, no, you do distributing. These are vending. You're 2 different type of people. And the vending helps you with sales. If you see a lit billboard outside of Walmart, are you more likely to remember Red Bull and buy a Red Bull 6-pack in there than if you didn't see the machine? Right. It helps.
Yeah.
But it was becoming adversarial, where they were saying, we're the only person that make money in Red Bull in this area. Like, how dare they? How dare you? We're all making money. This is vending. It's a different thing. So it was becoming kind of contentious, which was kind of boggling to me.
Yeah, because I mean, you see one in a vending machine, that's something you want for right then, probably after you're leaving the store, but you want to go in and get the case for the work week
of course.
Or whatever. Yeah,
it just helps. It doesn't hurt. It can only help. It's a lit billboard, but they didn't see it that way. They saw it as like somebody's honing in on their thing, which they're not. So imagine a distributor calling me up and saying, I'm at a Walmart, and the guy kicked me out because he said that they won't sell Red Bull to him in there. Go take care of that. Go call Red Bull. And I call Red Bull, and I say, well, my distributor told me, no, this is different. What kind of leverage do I have, though? Other than common sense, you should just call him and tell him that the guy should stay there. But they didn't. So, at the time, I'm 5-6 months in. I've already sold 17,000 machines. And I realized this. It's not doing the numbers. It's not even doing the numbers that the Energy Center was doing. It's a Red Bull machine, gorgeous machine. I'm telling you, this machine is state of the art, one of the best looking machines in 2004, 2005, one of the best looking machines ever made at the time. And so it's not the machine. It's not the product because people buy Red Bull, right? Mm-hmm. So you put it. Do you use the vending machines? You've used vending machines, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you use a gorgeous vending machine?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you like the product, would you use it? Of course, right? All it is married up. So it kind of boggled my mind when people come back and saying, I'm at a Bally's Fitness and I'm only doing 4 sales a day. I'm like, what? So it wasn't doing the numbers that I thought it was going to make. Now, some of that's people being lazy and not moving the location, getting better locations. Some of it's people getting 10 machines in their garage and putting in the first 10 people that say yes. You should really not put in the first people that say yes. You should go to the best locations.
Right.
So, but these people aren't hustlers.
Quality over quantity.
Right. But then again, maybe it's just Red Bull and it just sells Red Bull. So if you're 5, 6, 7 months in, you've already sold 16, 17,000 machines, you're making 300,000 a week, and you knew the numbers would stop. Would you stop selling Red Bull and go back to the energy drink? What would you do?
Oh, I'm going to keep going with the money.
There you go. And I'm saying that's my downfall there. Maybe I should have just said, you know what, Red Bull's not helping me. They're not doing, I should have sent a letter to my distributor saying, I'm going to stop selling this because it's not doing the numbers I thought. But that takes a lot of guts because somebody's saying, I want to give the machines back then. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of red tape you're going to have to deal with on the back end of that.
Of course. So I keep selling. And so I get over 30,000 machines sold. And now in 2006, I go to a trade show in Vegas that Dietrich asked me to go to. It's a big trade show with all the vendors there. And we go there and he says, I want to talk about how many machines that you're going to sell in the next 6 months. This is why he wants me at this show in Vegas. He wants to go over how many machines I'm going to sell, where I'm going to sell. And then he says, I want you to have a new can ordering system because we were selling cans too and giving 5,000 cans with every opportunity. When you bought 10 machines, I'll give you 5,000 cans. Mm-hmm. But also people were buying cans from me after that because I was getting a 99-cent price. And so, and I didn't even want to make money on the cans. I would make like 4 or 5 cents off it, but I was really in it just to sell the machines. But I'll sell the cans because you can't get them for under $1 anywhere else. So here's the thing. He says, your can ordering system, I'm going to give you a 91-cent price if you use my can ordering system. It's a big computer system that links up all his distributors. Oh, okay. But it's like $100,000 for this. That sounded like a lot. But I write him a check for $100,000 to get this can ordering system done, to make my distributors happier, because I got 3,000 distributors at this point. Mm-hmm. And he says, okay, that's good. And I give him the sales projections for the next 6 months. He goes, okay, that's good. He takes them, gives them to his lawyer. Everything's great. He gives me tickets to a private Red Bull party at the Palms Hotel. You remember the Real World suite there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where they film Real World.
Right,
yeah.
right. So he's got a big party there with like Hollywood celebrities and everything. So we go to the party, and he's like, I'm part of the team, right? If I'm going to the party, I'm with my wife, and, and there's celebrities there. There's like Paris Hilton. There's a bunch of Red Bull people like Jeremy McGrath and other people like that. So I'm at the party, and we're having a good time. And the McGrath guy comes over, and I don't really know him. I know he's in motocross and things like that. He goes, can I talk to you, McGrath? I go, yeah. He goes, you're the Red Bull guy, right? He goes, you're the vending guy, right? I go, yeah. He says, I got 2 favors for you. I said, okay. He goes, my buddy Rob Dietrich, what's the guy that does ridiculousness? Well, Deerdick.
Yeah.
Rob Deerdick. He goes, I got a buddy, Rob Deerdick. He does a show called Robin Big. I said, yeah, I think I've seen it. His friend's a big black guy, and they have a show. He goes, yes. He goes, well, they called Red Bull up, and they want a machine for their house for the show, but they said they got to go to you. I go, good that they said that because, I have the exclusive. He goes, is there any way you can sell him one machine? He goes, listen, I don't sell one machine. I sell 10 machines minimum. And I sell it as a bid. He goes, I know, it'd be a favor. I said, listen, I'll give him a machine. What's his address? So he calls him up right there from the party, and Deirdre says, okay, and I deliver the machine to him. I don't sell him a machine, I give him a machine. So if you see his show, Robin Biggie, he has a machine in his house. That was a machine I just gave to him. But then he says, I got something else for you. I go, what? He goes, watch these guys. They're gonna screw you. And he's a part of the ReddBull team. He tells me this. This is what McGrath tells me. He goes, watch out for these guys. They're snakes. I'm like, really? Wow. Okay. So I don't know if he's heard something from somebody, he's heard a rumor, or he's just had a bad thing, or he just knows they're kind of sketchy. But what's crazy, so I leave that party, and that kind of like resonates with me a little bit. I go home, I go to the business, and about 10 days later, I get a cease and desist from ReddBull saying we're not doing business with you anymore. Remember, I got a 90-day contract with the thing. And so I call them up from Austria, and I say, I have a 90-day out because I've already spent money on marketing. It was the beginning of April. I just spent $500,000 on advertising. Mm-hmm. No, you got to stop now. I said, well, no, I'm not going to stop now because I got 90 days. They go, well, yeah, you'd be using it against our will and all this stuff. So I'm like, what? And I said, first of all, I got 90 days. What about that? And you know what they said? Sue me. That's plainly what they said, sue me. I'm like, wow.
Damn.
Yeah. Here's what really here's what got me in trouble, to be honest with you. At that time, I have no unresolved complaints. Now, I've sold 3,000 people. Of course, some people aren't happy. And with any business, right? You resolve it. You say, Mr. Jones, we don't have a buyback policy, but you're rare. We're gonna help you get out of this business. Not to everybody, obviously, but I have no unresolved complaints at this time. But here's what ReddBull does. They have all 3,000 of my people's emails, all the distributors' emails. They send an email on a Thursday saying, we're not doing business with Creative Concepts anymore. They don't shit on me. They don't say anything bad. They just say, we're not doing business with them anymore. Now, think about that. You just got 10 machines. You get an email from ReddBull. They're not doing business with them anymore. What are you going to think?
Yeah, that's not a good look.
First of all, why do they not want to do business with you? Second of all, where am I going to get cans now? Well, I say you can get cans from Costco like $1.27. Yeah, but that's a lot different than 90-something cents. Mm-hmm. Where am I going to get more machines if I do well? Well, I can't sell it to you. Maybe ReddBull will sell them to you. Call them. That created chaos. So with chaos, it creates complaints because I can't resolve these complaints because I can't sell them cans anymore. Now I gave them a price 30 cents less than they can get. Now ReddBull can't get them out of the business because you own the machines. ReddBull can't take that away from you. You own the machines. You can buy ReddBull anywhere, but still people are pissed. So imagine that when they sell it all on a Thursday, they said 3,000 emails on a Thursday. I can't take that many calls in and answer questions and things. So it's chaos. It's chaos. And so that's where the complaints start happening and where I can't resolve them. Like, what are you going to do to get out of it at that point? You're going to, the people that really cry, give them the money back. Then you have to give everybody their money back. What am I going to do with the machines if I get them back? It's just nuts. I mean, did I sell you? I didn't guarantee any earnings. But of course, now when there's complaints, the government's going to say, this is what the government's going to ask you. And they did say this in trial. When they called the people at first with the complaints, they said, did you get the machines? They said, yeah. Were they beautiful machines? Yeah. Did they work properly? Yes. So they said, what's the problem? But when they get so many complaints, they start to ask questions. Well, did they pitch you on earnings? Did they do this? So, they start to, without that, I never got in trouble ever because I've been doing business opportunities by that time of 15 years.
Right.
I've been registered in all 50 states to do business ops with 5 different companies. In my trial, the FTC, which governs, which regulates me, said that they called my companies 828 times posing as investors during my 5 different opportunities. Never shut me down, never fined me, never said don't pitch that way. So, I've never got a reprimand. But when you get complaints at that level, ReddBull's involved, and then you can't quell this. Like, how am I going to quell this chaos? Mm. So there's no way out, really. So what happened was, should you go back to selling the energy center, even with all the complaints with the ReddBull? Then people might want to give the back of ReddBull and get the energy center. So I decided to shut it down. And, anybody that bought from me always got the machines. I never not shipped. This was the thing. Like, nobody, if you got 10 machines, I never would have the mind not to give you what you promised. So everybody got that.
The biggest issue was the people either not making what they thought they were going to be making, not what you guaranteed them.
Right.
Not making what they thought they were going to make. Yes. And now they have the issue was they were dealing with you. Now you're out as a distributor, plus the cost of their cans are going up.
So what happened? Right, exactly. So what happens is, You get those complaints before ReddBull shuts the contract down, but you can quell them because you say, listen, you got the machines. You can move the machines to a better location. If they really complain, you give me your money back, but not many people go to that end. But you can get around those, okay? You can't get around the fact that ReddBull shut the contract down. Now out of 3,000, you might have, say, 400 really bad complaints.
Right.
If I buy back 400 people, that's 4,000 or 5,000 machines.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So 5,000 machines, if I buy that back, it's going to be like $20 million. I do have millions in the bank, but like I'm going to give all my money and then still have people that might want more money back and then still be in the same situation.
And then what are you going to do with all the machines?
Right, exactly. Go serve. Right, okay. So I'm in a conundrum, right? I'm really, so when I shut it down, here's what happens. Of course, I can't fight against like what they're saying, because if they feel I'm shut down now, they'll say anything. The government says, well, did they pitch you on earnings? Even if they didn't pitch you hard, they're going to say, yeah, I think they told me it's going to do 85 a day. Like, you know what I mean? Like at that point, it's chaos with them. And so, but it took them 4.5 years to indict me. So for 4.5 years, I'm at the house. Now at this point, I have probably, $13 million in the bank. And so I do go to lawyers because I know they're looking at me. So about 5 months after I shut down the business, they send me a subpoena for all my paperwork. So of course I go to lawyers. I go to the biggest, Roy Black. I go to this guy, Richard Diaz, and I retain them with $100,000 just to talk to the government. Okay, so Black says just bring all your stuff. So I have my employees, like I call them back and have them work for me another couple of weeks to print up all the emails, all my documents, everything to copy them. And I personally, as a schmuck, take them up to the FBI building in Miramar and give it to them. I said, all right, here they are. And I don't hear from them for 4 years. Of course, they're looking at me, and they're building a case. Mm-hmm. But I really don't do any other businesses for those 4 years because I know they could at any time indict me. Do I think they could take a pass? Maybe. I ship the machines. Like, this is not black and white fraud. Like, this is like exaggerated earnings, they're going to say.
Right.
So, eventually they do indict me. Now, what's crazy about it is that the lawyers I went to, and this is shocking, when the government knows you're not on their team, this is how they treat you. Like, I'm not going to testify against anybody. I'm not going to flip on my employees and try to get credit for that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to fight you. But like when you're not on the team, they'll do some nefarious stuff. The government is the biggest Debos and gangsters in the world. They really 100%. Are. The U.S. government, and they'll do it illegally and say, oh my God, you did something illegal. Well, you've done something crazy illegal. So this is what happens. I go to Black's office. He says, well, he puts a piece of paper in front of me, and there's 10 names of 10 different people. And I recognize about 4 of them. And they're people that do business opportunities like me. Maybe not as big as me, but they do business opportunities. What I don't know is the government's looking at some of these people. They want to build a case on them. I don't know this, but Black says, do you know some of these guys? I go, yeah, I know about 3, 4. Could you get a lunch date with them? I said, yeah, probably about 3 of them. Well, the government says, yeah, maybe they were trying to build a case. Maybe you can talk to these people and maybe you can wear a wire. Yeah, it's my first meeting with Black. This is one of the biggest lawyers in the country. And I go, no, I'm trying to fight them. I'm trying to beat the guy. No, hell no. No. Okay, I just want to give you all the options. I go to Richard Diaz's office about maybe 10 days later to hire him too. And he has the same list. 2 different lawyers.
Same list.
Same list. Same exact list. The government trying again to say, hey, if you want to get out of this, we'll give you... It's like I tell everybody, the Wolf of Wall Street's the exact same case as mine. Think about this. He had 13 counts of wire fraud. I had 13 counts of wire fraud. His money count was 88 million. Mine was 127 million. Okay? All those parties at the office and renting boats and the debauchery, I did the same thing. I mean, we all made big money, did stupid things, right? The biggest difference between me and him, the 2 biggest differences between me and him is, 1, he ratted on all his employees. Like the Jonah Hill character they played, they wore wires on everybody and went to trial and testified against everybody.
Right.
Didn't want to do his 15, 17 years. Did like 2.5 years and became really the government's bitch. And he told on friends. Mm. And the other thing is DiCaprio didn't play me in a movie. So this is a guy that was selling air, by the way. He's selling fake penny stocks. I was selling actual a tangible ReddBull product.
That you delivered.
That I delivered. So our cases are the same as far as what the government brought against us. Mm-hmm. But he got 2.5 years because he ratted on 30 people. Okay, so they try that. Now they know I'm not on their team. Okay, this guy's not on a team. He's like bucking. He's like looking to go to trial. So now they start the nefarious stuff. They subpoenaed to take my mother in the FBI building to get her fingerprints and her voice analysis. Of course, I go in with my mother, and my mother's practically crying. Oh, we're going to indict you because you work for him. She worked for me making business package. She was like the office mom. She would make the business package to send up to the invest. She wasn't doing anything. I know they're not going to indict her, but they're just trying to scare me. This is their second tactic, trying to scare you. Oh, I'm going to do it because I don't want to go after my family. I'm not that type of dude. I love my mom to the death, but indict my mom. You're going to look like an idiot. Put my 60-something-year-old mother at the time, she's 80 now, but I'm saying put her up on the stand. She didn't do anything. But they don't think that way. Most people go, oh my God, they're going after my mother. Okay. Then they call my wife. She's a little more of a gangster. She's South Peruvian. She's like, I didn't do anything wrong. But you got checks from him. Yeah, we pay taxes on it, put it in our joint account. What's wrong with that? Nothing, but they get her fingerprint analysis and they get her voice analysis. It's just a scare tactic.
Yeah. Now
I still say, no, I'm going to go to trial. Now they put the heavy heat on you, okay? They know you're not on the team. And so when it's a fraud is gray, why can't I go there and fight for myself? Like the government, like everybody says now, everybody tells and everybody that you're stupid for going to trial. That's not a good system.
Right.
That's a stupid ass system. Like you want the government that way? Like you don't think the government makes mistakes?
100%.
You don't think the government and here's something else, because when they indicted me, they indicted 4 of my salespeople. 3 of my salespeople and 1 of my office managers. Okay, so this is what happened. The office manager didn't do anything. She got office supplies. She was just a runaround person. She had nothing to do with sales, nothing to do with anything but like getting the office together with supplies and that type of thing. They indict her, but you know why they indict her? She's a mother of 2. They know she's going to say anything.
Yep.
Whatever they tell her to say.
They pressure her to flip.
They threatened her. She takes a 6-month deal. She didn't do anything. I know if she said, no, I'm bucking on you, they would have took a pass.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have that in her. Okay. The other salesperson took 6 months and is going to testify. So 2 people are going to testify on me. 2 of the guys my salesperson that they indicted, they say no. He didn't tell me to say any of that. Well, you're looking at like 10 years. If you go to trial, you got to tell them what he said. And they kind of say, you should say this. And they even told me they kind of steered him. No, I can't tell him. And these are squares. And you could take 6 months right now, but you're looking at 7-8 years if you go to trial. I guess I have to go to trial. I can't tell them like that. So not everybody tells. Everybody thinks everybody tells, and the people that don't tell don't have the chance to. That's bullshit. Because in my trial, I know that's different. I could have told, both of those could have told on me. Mm. Took the 6 months and be happy with it, right? No, they said, I can't do that. They didn't feel it. They went to trial with me. They got 7.5 years apiece.
Ooh.
Yeah. But they're men.
Yeah.
Now, call that stupid, call that not. I call that integrity.
Yeah.
Okay. And I call it the government being complete insane. Okay.
And had that lady had a little bit more street smarts about her, she may have would have done the same thing. But when you got kids and they're throwing,
right,
they're going to say your kids are
no,
going to
but that's why they picked her. No,
exactly.
That's why they picked her.
They seek out the weak in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when she goes to trial, she says about 30% the truth, about 30, 40% the truth, and some outlandish stuff. She gets on there and says that, well, how'd you find out about the sales tactics? Because she knows nothing about the sales. And she's talking about sales. My lawyer says, how do you know about the sales? Oh, we had meetings with the hierarchy of the company. This is her verbiage, the hierarchy of the company on Fridays. What? I own the company. Who's the hierarchy? Oh, well, he's very charming, and he told me about, why would I tell you about sales tactics? You don't even know about sales. But the government's feeling for her because she's crying. So my lawyer said, why are you crying? Oh, because I just want to see my kids and you know, I don't want to go to jail and all that stuff. My lawyer says, you don't think he wants to see his kids? You know, I had a daughter at the time. The first day of trial, she turned 14. You don't think I want to see my daughter? So, you know, everybody cries for that. I don't mind her testifying. Just tell the truth. Like, you're so weak. You're telling anything the government says, and you're telling bold-faced lies. The other lady that testified against me, the other salesperson, she said a little more of the truth. You could tell she was really cringing saying the lies, you know, but she did say them. And then the other 2 guys, like I said, they didn't even testify. They became co-defendants of mine because they wouldn't testify against me. Mm-hmm. So the trial is the big thing people don't realize. Like, I'm thinking this. Here's the big thing that people don't realize about trials. I go to Black and I go to Diaz. Why wouldn't they tell me, give me $1 million to put into escrow because they're going to take your money when they indict you? Mm-hmm. When they indict me, I was in the bank. I didn't hide my money under the shed in the backyard and everything. You know why I had it in the bank? Because I did a business. And if I'm going to fight you, wouldn't it be smart at trial to say, I can account for every dollar? Like, oh, where are these $2 million? If you just hid $2 million and you couldn't account for it, you look pretty guilty, right?
It would have looked worse if you did took money.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. But now I look like a schmuck because they took it all. Because when they indict me, they take all your money. They don't just take your money. When you look at your bank account, people think it goes to zero. The people that tell you that it goes to zero are lying. My bank account said minus $99,999,999.
Yeah, so you can't even get a positive balance.
That's the thing. They don't want it to be an account that you can even use. If it says zero, you can still use it.
Right.
They don't just take your money, they put you in a negative. So if the people tell you that story about I went to zero, that's not true. So I do see my bank account and I go, oh, damn, okay. So what do you do at that point when Diaz and Black haven't told you, give me $1 million in escrow? I just already gave him $100,000. That's been used up in pretrial. And so how am I going to hire a lawyer now? So could I sell everything and do this and that? Oh, by the way, they come to my house, they take 5 out of 6 of my cars. Don't cry for me. I shouldn't have had 6 cars anyways. They leave me with 1 for why I don't know they leave me with 1. Maybe because I got to get to trial.
Yeah, you got to get back and forth.
They get a subpoena for all my watches and my jewelry and everything. Now I had a neighbor that was a gangster. This is a good story. She I don't know why she was a gangster. She didn't look like a gangster. She was in my house when they came, unannounced, like to take my watches and jewelry so I wouldn't hide it. Right? They come in with like 4 agents. They go right to my places that watches would be, my closet, my watch display, because I got a watch display. This woman literally sees this with my wife and tells my wife, put this in my purse. Like she's there, she's a neighbor, puts a bunch of stuff in her purse and leaves. And they go, oh, wait, you have to stay here. No, I don't. Well, it's not my house. Like, what are you talking about? She leaves and then gives a lot of that stuff back to me afterwards. That's like dope. Complete gangster. Yeah. And so at trial, I can't afford. Before I had Black. Like, I'm not saying Black I win, but I got a better chance with Black. And so now I can only afford, low-level attorneys, which, don't cry for me. I probably still wouldn't win with Black, but you never know.
Right.
You see a big lawyer up there, that's different. But here's the thing people don't know that would be shocked about federal trials. Everybody thinks this is the best system in the world, right? No, not even close.
Flawed.
My first day of trial, they have what's called voir dire. You know what voir dire means?
Yes, they skew the language a little bit to the jury, right?
Well, they just ask jury questions, like just basic questions to try to weed them out. Like we wanted people that own businesses. They didn't want people.
Right.
Because I just did business. This is like, no, they want just housewives, and nothing against housewives, but the front row kid would work for Calvary Chapel as a guitarist. They just want working class people.
Somebody they can snow, really. Yeah.
They can snow and also doesn't know about business.
Right.
Like they'll hear a perfectly legal business practice and think it's weird, but they don't know it's legal because they don't know about business. So what happened was we're doing voir dire, and we asked a guy. The government asked him. He said, if you see this trial, it's going to take about 2 months, and you see all the prosecution's evidence and you see the defense's evidence, and you go through the whole trial, could you possibly find them guilty or not guilty by just the things you see in the trial? That's a very mundane question. That's a question that's easy, right? Mm-hmm. He says, he just kind of like cocks his head and he goes, no, he's been indicted on 13 counts. He's probably guilty of something. He says this on open court. Of course, we X him out, but everybody else is thinking that. So the people that think that you're innocent till proved guilty, that's BS. You're 100% guilty till proven innocent.
Until you pay out the ass to prove you're innocent.
Right.
On
the only charge that you're innocent till proven guilty, there's only one charge that you're innocent till proven guilty. And that's the charge that the jury knows what you're going to get. That's only one charge, and that's murder. Mm-hmm. So when they say things like OJ and stuff, of course you're innocent till proven guilty because it's murder. You know the guy's going to get the death penalty or he's going to get life in prison, right? Mm-hmm. They have no idea what I'm going to get. Think about it. I'm a white-collar guy. Never been arrested in my life, right? It's white-collar. No violence. I guarantee that jury thinks I'm going to get 2 or 3 years, not 17. Okay, so first of all, you can't tell them that in the feds, by the way. Before 1998, you could actually tell the feds. In the state, you can tell them how much time you're looking at. In the feds, they stopped that. You know why? It's easy to beat them. Like for instance, when the Gotti trial, that was a big thing in the Gotti trial. Gotti would take the stand and say, or his lawyer would say, remember the bald-headed guy, I forget his name, Kunstler or something? Not Kunstler.
Albert Krieger.
Yeah, exactly. He would say, my defendant is looking at life in prison. Now, the jury doesn't know that. They might think that Gotti was going to get 10 years or something, right? Mm-hmm. Now the jury knows that he's going to get 50 years. Well, if I said that on the stand, which I took the stand for 10 days, if I said, listen, I'm looking at 20, I'm going to get 17 and a half years because that's my guideline because of my money count, my leadership role, sophisticated means, number of victims. I can't say that because the jury is going to say, I'm not going to put this guy in jail for 17 and a half years for selling 30,000 machines that he shipped for exaggerated earnings.
Wow, I didn't know that. So you can't disclose the time you're going to get.
Not in the feds. If I said that, they would have said, mistrial, go to jail, and we'll try you again.
Wow. Because a lot of the masses, I would say, probably don't know that there's sentencing guidelines.
They don't know
depending
anything
on your
about
pricing and, if it was drugs or whatever the case. I know not in yours, but all that equates to there is sentencing guidelines. It's been restructured, but I know that
Think about back when they cracked down on it. What about a kid that has like a dime bag and about 10 rocks of crack? Like nothing, like 3 of them say.
Yep.
Nothing, right? I guarantee if he goes to trial, the jury's going to think he's going to get a slap on the wrist, right? But probably will do him well. He's a drug addict. He's going to go to jail for a year or 2. It's probably going to do him. I'm doing him a favor.
Straight. Yeah.
If they knew the kid's going to get 30 years because he's got a little bit of a prior just for selling crack, you think they'd find him guilty?
Absolutely not.
No, but he can't say I'm looking at 30 years. Why? Why not educate the jury? You know why? They wouldn't get as many W's. Mm-hmm. They just want W's.
We had that discussion last night. They don't care about nothing but the win. They don't care about guilt. They don't care about innocence. They want the W.
They don't care about facts even.
Yeah, facts that. They want to pad their record as whatever, AG
W's.
or whatever. They will say that I got a 98% conviction rate. Most of that shit comes off plea bargains anyway.
Right. So I got a lawyer that's telling me things that I don't know what to believe. He's not black. He's saying, well, I think in your case, you don't want to educate him. You want him to see the trial as it evolved. So he tells me we're not going to do opening arguments either side, which is very rare. But in my case, he said, I don't think it would do you benefit. I think I want them to just see your trial progress. And I'm like, it doesn't sound right, but I say okay. So my one was one of the rare trials where we didn't do opening statement because he thought it was a strategy, which is kind of bizarre. So that's my first thing. My lawyer might not be the best in the world. So the first day of trial, literally the first day, the prosecution starts their accusations. They didn't say one word. They got an overhead projector, and they showed every check I paid myself for 2 years. Now, I realized when they were doing it why that is. All they said was Exhibit 1, they would show the first paycheck I paid myself, which was like 10 grand. Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, all paychecks, by the way. I can't argue this because they're real paychecks. Mm-hmm. Now, the 30th, 40th check is like 300 grand per week. So they're looking at me like, every check, 300 grand in a week. What you must be doing something. They don't, hating is a strong word. They didn't hate me, but they're resenting me right away. Who is this guy? He was making 300 grand a week? He's got to be guilty of something, or I resent him. That's their strategy. So for the first day, they show literally, meticulously, like 200 checks. And then at the end, they show my house, which right away my lawyer said, no, object. Because they can't object to the checks because they're real. They say, object, it's not relevant to house. And the judge says, yeah, take it. But they've already seen the house.
Yeah, they've already seen it. Which
is insanity, right? Now, like I said, the house, I'm not saying that I wasn't living in a nice house, but it wasn't a McMansion. It was nice. It was like 1.5 in Davie next to the football. I lived in Jason Taylor. It was a nice house. But when they see that, they see my backyard and everything, for a splash, they go, oh, this guy was bomb. So here's the crazy part about it. Now they go, now you're innocent and they don't even like you because you're making 300 grand a week. The next person that comes up was the FTC. I'm thinking the FTC has something on me that I don't know about. The FTC is going to be a bad witness, right? The FTC, my lawyer says, again, how many times did you, because they know the FTC tries you. They call up as an investor. They try to see if you're pitching well.
Right.
So he's had 5 opportunities, and you have the records for all of his opportunities because he's licensed with you to do all of them. Yeah, we have 828 times that we've called him. How many times have you said, don't pitch that way? How many times have you said, how many times you find him? How many times have you sent him anything saying, curtail the way you sell? Oh, none. Now the guy's seeing where he's going. He says, oh, but we're not like the DOJ. They're a little different. You regulate him, though. So then he's basically saying he regulates me, and they had no problem with me. But, oh, the DOJ knows other things. What? So I thought that was something good for me. The FBI gets up there. Listen to this. I don't know why the FBI gets up there. This is why they do, though. He says, hey, did you investigate him? Yeah. Did you see how he was living? My lawyer said, objection. What are you talking about? Oh, it's relevant because we want to show that what he was doing with all the ill-gotten gains. We don't know it's ill-gotten yet. What are you talking about? So the FBI says, yeah, I went in his house. It was very lavish. Objection. And they would say, take that down. Strike that. And he was talking over the objections to the FBI. So, oh, yeah, but it was very lavish. He had a great pool outside. No, objection. He was trying to even talk over it, which, you know, is just so skewed. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the two biggest things that shock me in trial. And it's going to shock you. It shock you about how much time you're getting. They don't know, right?
Yep.
This is another thing that will shock you. The government, the actual government, when they started to look at me at the end with the complaints and everything, they have 88 tapes calling salespeople. The FTC does. Okay, they must have something horrible, right? Okay. They play the first 4 tapes to the jury of the conversations for sales. They pick the 4 worst guys, the New York guys, the Boston guys that are hardcore sales, like if you called a brokerage firm. You know, they're not guaranteed, but they're tough sales. We go to play the other 84 CDs. I mean, there's 84 other tapes. Like, there could be just 4 rogue salespeople. Everybody else stays with the script. So when we go to play the other 84, the prosecution will objection. Objection, these are your CDs. Oh, we've already heard enough salespeople. The rest are hearsay. Hearsay, what? So the Judge Khan says, let's have a sidebar. They had a sidebar for half an hour. He finally says, you know, we've heard enough salespeople. I believe that the rest is just hearsay. So when I appealed it, I won that. They said, that's an error. The judge made an error. You should hear all of them or none of them, right? But they said it's harmless error. That's what the government says. So what the other 84 could have showed those people is that a lot of people stay with the pitch. Not everybody's, you know, pitching that hard.
Right.
So that was the first thing that shocked me, by the way. The next thing that shocked me is that Dietrich shows up at the trial from Austria. Now, this is to protect ReddBull's name, to say I was a skeevy person. Mm-hmm. And he does something that shocked me. He says, when I was at the Vegas trade show, remember I told you the Vegas trade show we were at? Well, I was at that. He said he showed me this 30-page memo of all the bad things I was doing, warning me that I shouldn't do them. BS. If he said that to me at the Vegas trade show, I would have said, okay, I'm doing something else. Like, he could have made that up 2 days before the trial. He's just doing it to say ReddBull warned me. Never did. Here's the crazy kicker to that. It has 2 signature lines. His name typed under it, my name typed under it. His name signed, mine unsigned. My lawyer says, you can't put this in things. It's unsigned. And the judge says to the prosecution, do you have the signed one? They're like, no. And I'm like, this is never going to get into evidence, right? The jury's never going to see this. The Judge Khan says, looks at Dietrich, who's like a multi-billionaire, the head of ReddBull. Mr. Warnschitz, did you see Mr. Levinson sign that? He goes, yeah, I did. Oh, we'll let the jury see it then. Yes. The jury saw a document they could have made 2 days before that trial to make ReddBull look like they're warning me, which they never did. Yes. Yes. And we won an appeal saying that was an error, harmless error, wouldn't have changed the trial like thing.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's like literally right before they send you your cease and desist or that they're terminating your contract, that they had a discussion with you about you're doing all these things wrong.
Right.
But that discussion never happened.
Never did. Why they invite me to a party afterwards and everything? I'm just going, everything's okay.
Yeah, you don't really invite them to a trade show
to
tell you you're doing a shitty job. You call them into the office.
That's what I try to say in the stand, but these people that aren't business owners they're just going, okay, they see the CEO of ReddBull on the stand, they go, this guy's a billionaire and this guy just got indicted. Yeah. So it's just it's tough. It's tough that way.
Wasn't there a situation where somebody was trying to give you some money to help fight this?
Think about this. I had somebody that knew me in business, knew that I had things to sell, but also knew and I treated him well, and I gave him a loan at one time too that he paid back. He was going to give me $300,000 to give to Black. So he did. He gave it to Black. And a day later, the government calls him and says, oh, you can do that, by the way. You can give him a loan. We're going to look at every one of your tax records, every one of your thing. We're going to put it with a fine-tooth comb. And they basically deboed into him not doing it. He asked Black for the money back. I can't do this, man. Andrew, I like you, but I can't do it. And by the way, they called all 15. I had 15 people that were going to testify for me. People say they made money. I had a 22-year-old kid out of Fort Lauderdale, a Black kid. Everybody would think it'd be drug money. I don't think it was. I think he's a hustler. He took 10 machines and made it to 100 machines. He was going to testify for me. Him and 14 other people. And that would have really helped. They called everyone meticulously, and everyone called me and says, I can't do it, Andrew. I can't testify. They threatened to look at every one of my taxes and this and that and all this stuff. Yeah. If I did that to their witnesses, I go to jail for witness tampering.
I was about to say, that's the epitome of witness tampering. You see on the mob movies and all the time when they intimidate the witnesses or pay them or bribe them or whatever. That's against the law. But
the government does it all the time. So they all call me. And so now I tell them, I can subpoena you. I can make you testify. But of course, they're going to say, I'm going to do bad things. If you force me to testify, it's not going to go well. Because now you'd be forcing me to.
Right.
These are people that were going to testify for me. You know how good that would look to have 15 people say, yeah, I made money? And a 22-year-old kid that says, if he can do it, why couldn't you do it?
Yeah.
I didn't get that chance because they deboed him.
So the only thing the jury got to see was the worst horror stories of the whole thing.
Well, the 10 people that testified, again, they sent out letters to all 3,000 people. Only 10 sent them back.
That's got to say something, too.
That's what I'm saying. But those 10 people were crazy because the first question my lawyer would ask him, did you get the machines? Yes, of course. Were they beautiful machines? Oh, yeah. Did they work properly? Yes. Were you happy with the machines? Yes. Okay. Did you get the cans of ReddBull? Were they new? Oh, yes. Okay. Well, what happened? Well, I put them out in 10 locations. They didn't do even close to the numbers that I thought or they told me they were going to do, and then I put them in my garage. Why wouldn't you put them back out at other locations? Oh, well, I just thought I was duped at that point and just said, forget about it. Now, here's what's crazy, and we got this from a ReddBull executive that felt bad for me. When they shut the contract down, they put an inter-office memo at their headquarters. Remember they shut my contract down?
Mm-hmm.
The memo said, and we presented this at trial, the memo said, this is going to create chaos with all his 3,000 distributors. Why don't you call them up? You can get the machines back for pennies on the dollar. That's what they put in an inter-office memo. To call my people and try to buy the machines for pennies on the dollar. Scumbags.
To resell them to somebody else.
No, just to use them themselves, probably to give to their distributors or something.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy stuff. But yeah, they deboed the 15. That was the biggest thing that hurt because those 15 people would have helped. Would have really helped. But they want W's. They want to play it. They're going to play it that way.
So how long does this trial last?
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
So it lasts 2.5 months. They do closing arguments. Everything ends on a Monday. They recess and they don't come back with a decision until Friday. So every day.
Typically, that's pretty good, though.
That's
right?
what I thought.
The longer it goes, the more.
And I'll tell you why it went longer. I'll tell you why. Because every day I go to the court and go out to lunch and wait for a call. I have to stay in that area Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday I get a call to come in. Here's why they took a long time. Because I have 6 conspiracy to commit fraud charges and 7 other fraud charges. They didn't think I conspired to do it. Like, they didn't think, how does this guy go into it? He was selling the energy center, shipping them. He shipped every machine. How does he gets a contract with ReddBull? How did he conspire to fraud people? They just think it happened, and I let it happen. But they didn't think I conspired to do it, which I didn't.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense. He's done 5 other business opportunities. He's registered. I didn't conspire to fraud people. But did I see that the machines aren't doing well? I didn't tell them that? Did I keep selling? Yes. Okay. Did salespeople push the envelope and maybe give him some earnings claims and all that? Yes. But he didn't conspire to do that. So what they did, they come back and they read the 13 counts. They say in the first count, in the above the title action, what do you define? The defendant, Andrew J. Levinson, we find him not guilty. Now, I know I have 13 counts, but I hear not guilty, the word not guilty, and that's pretty, the second count, we find not guilty. Now I'm looking around to my wife and mother in the crowd, and I'm, okay. Third count, not guilty. Fourth count, not guilty. 6 counts, not guilty. By the 6th count, I'm straightening my tie. I'm looking at the prosecution. I'm thinking about what my exit thing is, how all the FUs I'm going to tell the prosecution, and I'm thinking all that. Maybe give me contempt of court, which I shouldn't have done, but I probably would have went ham.
Yeah.
So, but now they get to the conspiracy charges. And, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I count guilty. So, technically what they were taking 4 days on is like, I don't think this guy went into this business to defraud people. Mm-hmm. And they're also thinking, well, he let it happen. The machines weren't doing that well. He's probably going to get 2 years for this. Let's just find him guilty. He's a little cocky. He took the stand. He's got $5,000 suits. He's, you know what I mean? So I guarantee 70 days after that, when they did sentencing 70 days later, and it was in the newspaper, it was in the front page of the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Herald, they looked at the newspaper. I was on that trial, and they read it. Excuse me. And they went, okay, I was in that trial. Let me read this whole story. Oh, man, he got 210 months? Let me do the math with that. Oh, God, that's 17 and a half years. And I guarantee they thought I was going to get 2 to 3 years.
Damn,
guaranteed.
17 and a half years. First offense, nonviolent.
Think about that. This is how their system was then. The catalyst to that sentencing was Madoff. Think about this. I'm going to tell you a story that's really going to resonate with you because you deal with a lot of drug guys. Mm-hmm. Before 1986, before June, I'm going to give you a specific date. Before June of 1986, they couldn't pass any crack laws. They couldn't. Crack was getting, not slaps on the wrist, but wasn't getting big time.
Right.
They couldn't even pass drug laws. Like all of Nancy Reagan's war on drugs and Ronald Reagan, they weren't passing the laws. They would get denied. Because the Senate and the Congress would say, that's too much for nonviolent drugs. So what happened, within 10 days, they passed everything. And what do you think that catalyst was?
What?
It was June of 1986. What athlete got picked second in the draft and died of a cocaine overdose?
Bias.
Being a healthy person.
Len Bias.
A healthy person where they spun it as the first time he does crack, which I have no idea about that. It probably wasn't. I can tell you what, after that, she got everything passed. That was the catalyst. So everybody's the same.
Yeah, Len Bias, out of Maryland, drafted by the Celtics.
Number 2 of the Celtics. Think about that team just won the championship.
Yep.
Now they're getting Bias on the team? You got Bird, Mikhail Parrish, you got Ainge and John. You're going to put Lenny Bias? Lenny Bias would have been another Michael Jordan. People don't realize Lenny Bias had Jordan-type abilities.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's going to go on that team. So, but 3 days after he got drafted, he dies of a cocaine.
Was it 3 days? I thought it was the same night.
No, he went back because he went back. Remember, he went back to Maryland to party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 days after because he went to Boston to sign, does the press conference the next day.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to Maryland to celebrate with his buddies. It was about 2.5 days later. No, it definitely wasn't the same. Not as the draft, no.
Okay.
So, because he goes to Boston because he died in Maryland on the campus.
Right.
So then everybody says it's easy to get him passed. Look at this. We got a healthy kid at 21 years old that died. We got to do something crazy about this crack. Mm-hmm. So the same thing with fraud. Before 2005, the jury might have been right. I would have got a slap in the wrist. Or I might have got a pass. They probably would have passed. I got shipped the machines. They probably would have passed on me. But then Madoff happens. All fraud's the same. All fraud's scumbags. All fraud's got to get this. All fraud's got to get more time. So Madoff was the precipice to do this. Anything over 25 million, you're already pregnant. I was 120-something million, but anything over 25, you got the highest level. I'm well over that. Anything over 250 victims, they call it. Even though only 10 people testified they got screwed, all 3,000 of you people got screwed. So you're over 250 victims. More enhancements. You're the leadership role. I can't deny that. I was the owner of the company. Leadership role, another enhancement.
Right.
Sophisticated means. Wrap your head around that. I got 2.5 extra years for sophisticated means. That means I'm sophisticated more than you. I can do the opportunity. Maybe they're right, but that's hardcore. To say I'm sophisticated to do this, I'm going to get more time. That should be for like credit card fraud where you know about credit or something like that. Like not selling opportunities. Like, of course, I'm a good salesperson, but sophisticated. So you add all those up, I'm at level 37, first time offense. So I'm 210 months to 226. He could have gave me 226. Okay, I go to sentencing. They gave me 210. I know I'm going to get killed. It's no shock to me.
Right.
Now, here's how the government is just vicious. They say, okay, we'll take the 210, but Mr. Khan, the judge, he took the stand for 10 days. He must have did perjury because he was found guilty by a jury of his peers. He must have lied. Let's get him for perjury. Another 4 years. So Khan, luckily for me, Khan says, are you ready to try this right now and explain to him why it's perjury right now? Oh, we need about 30 days. No, and if you're not ready now, we're not going to do it. So I took my 210 rather than 400 more. They could have took another arm and another leg, I guess, and 4 fingers. Yeah, government's, because I'm not on their team. Now, this isn't the cry, but when you're not on your team, they'll do stuff like this. Now I'm sentenced.
Well,
I go back to.
They do stuff like that to intimidate other people too.
Of course. So I'll tell the story, right? Now, they progressively do this too because I'm fraud now, nonviolent, never been arrested in my life. I go to FTC Miami to get shipped out somewhere else. My counsel there says, you only have 5 security points. I don't even know why you have 5. You should have like 2. You had nothing. You had no violence, no nothing. Never been charged before. He says you can't go to the camp right away because you have over 10 years. You got 17.5 years, so you need to be under 10 years to go to a camp. You're going to go a little low. You're going to probably go to Miami low or Coleman low. That's what he tells me I'm going to go. Mm-hmm. Okay. About 2 months later, I see the pack out list, and I'm on it. And it says COL-M. I don't know what that means. So one of the dudes said, that's Coleman Medium. You're going to go to Coleman Medium. I said, okay. I mean, the guy told me camp low, but no big deal. I'll go to the medium. I don't even know about the mediums now at this point. People educate me. That's a little tough for prison, whatever. I said, I don't care. I got good paperwork. I got, I went to trial for crying out loud. I got the cleanest paperwork in the world. So I'm not worried about it, but I'm like, I told my counsel, I thought I was going to go to a low. He goes, I thought you were going to go to a low too because you got no security point. They put a manager and variable on you for population management variable, saying there's not enough spaces at the low. When the bus I went on, there was like 20 people that went to the low, not me. I went to the medium. As a white collar, never been arrested, no violence, five security points, which means if you're 1 to 11, you're camp. You're 11 to 16, you don't know about this, but you're low. You're 17 to 20 something, you're medium, and you're above that, you're pen. So when you're at the medium and one step from the pen, if I get a shot, I'm going to the pen, right? The medium's nothing. Everybody makes a big deal. But yeah, was there more fights? Was it a little tougher, more politics? I don't mind politics. Like I said, I got clean paperwork. I fought the system. It's just the people that say they get pushed up on. They either have bad paperwork or something's wrong with their case, or they told or something. Because your white boy's not going to let a good guy with a good case go away. I hate to say white boys and that, but your people aren't going to let people do something to somebody that's got clean paperwork unless you do something fugazi. But they kept the management variable on there for like a year and a half, almost 2 years before I went to the low next door, knowing that I should be at a low.
Right.
Even I go there, my counselor is like, "What did you do?" "Oh, you went to trial," she said. Like she knew why they did it.
She knew right off the rip.
Come on. So that's what they do. That's what they do then, and then they make you, obviously under 10 years you go to a camp. So eventually I do go to a camp, but they're doing things in prison that I know. Like other people saying nobody's ever done it to me. Well, why did they do it to me with my case manager? Things like that, and I know because it says trial next to my name.
Yep.
So they don't want anybody to fight them.
They're trying to make an example out of it.
Of course. Yeah. Think about this. What if everybody went to trial? You ever heard of speedy trial?
Yeah.
If everybody decides to go to trial, this system would crumble.
Yep.
It would crumble. They'd be letting people free. So I always wondered about that. Not that everybody's going to go to trial, but because some people just can't and they won't and they know they're guilty. Whatever. I don't feel bad for people that take deals. You take deal and you proffer and telling everybody I have a big problem with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a big difference with that. But if you're telling me you just want to take the time and you tell them what you did and you want to get more time for that, but I still to this day, and we've had this debate, so I'm not trying to play Joe prisoner, but saying everybody tells, which is bullshit, and everybody doesn't, to say everybody should, that's the game now for crying out loud. Listen to me. The FBI has 30,000 employees. You think they need 150,000 more employees that are fed and things? Get out of here. You're lame-ass mothers. Like all those guys, lames. So you're not a gangster. Don't claim to be a gangster. Don't tell me stories about your old stories. If you bitched up and told to the government at the end, you went on their team. Now that you're on the team. Mm-hmm. That's simple.
Yeah.
Because I love the movie Goodfellas. It's still a great movie, but Henry Hill's a scumbag.
Right.
Forget about being a cool character. No, he's a scumbag. You're supposed to be a gangster, Henry Hill. You made all the money to be a gangster. You want to be all the gangster. You don't tell on the gangsters, and then go to witness protection and like laugh because he gets his paper, and I'm a schmuck because I'm eating tomato sauce. I don't give a shit about the tomato sauce, Henry. You're a scumbag rat. Suck on that tomato sauce. So that kind of thing.
Well, the weird thing is, and I've had this discussion with some other people, is it's almost become socially acceptable.
That's what the crazy part.
Worse
than that, telling me that I'm stupid for going to trial and fighting them, and like it's socially acceptable. It's insanity. You know why it's socially acceptable? I hate to say it. It's really because the mob with candy asses.
Yeah.
Why did the mob let Henry Hill go to Howard Stern and go to the premieres? Why are they letting Sammy the Bull do a show and laughing about all the killing people? Killing people? You're not a tough guy. You bitched up to the government. You went on witness protection. You told on the biggest guy. And the whole thing, you can't rat on a rat, that's bullshit. When you rat, you rat. Mm-hmm. You're not a tough guy anymore. Moderano, that was a killer for Whitey. You told on Whitey, man. You wrote a book and you knew you were so wrong. The first line of your book, you said you can't rat on a rat. Yeah, you can rat on a rat. You ratted. Mm-hmm. Kevin Weeks supposed to be a tough guy, right? They call him Kevin 2 weeks now. You know why they call him Kevin 2 weeks? It took him 2 weeks to testify against Whitey. Kevin Weeks is supposed to be a gangster, Kevin Weeks. Come on. The only one out of that crew that is Shay that stepped up and didn't do anything. And Shay's a man of his word. You're not going to go call Johnny Shay an idiot for doing it. No. But Johnny Shay's a real gangster.
I've actually been on his show recently, Integrity with John Shay.
There you go. But Johnny Shay can do it. Now, did Johnny Shay, some of his people rat on him? But did he go, I'm going to rat on them because they ratted on me? No.
Nope.
You're a gangster. You were the leader. If you're a boss, you're a boss. Mm-hmm. So when I was a boss of my company, I could have ratted on all my employees. Those 4 other people that got indicted, I could have testified against them. No, you don't do that because that's weak-ass stuff. It's just, I'm not trying to toot my horn. You just don't do it. I learned that in elementary school.
Right.
Like I tell her on another show, when you go into that principal's office and both of you have done dirt, does your father teach you to say, oh, I know Johnny did this in the cafeteria. Give me less time for detention because I'm going to tell on him. You think that's proper? Are you going to teach a kid that?
Absolutely not.
Come on, all those rappers and stuff, they let this guy 6'9" go around like he's some kind of clown. Man, whack that kid in the head, man. Like, come on, give me a break. Kid's a clown.
When that kid come out and he went on live, like all the millions of people, I said right there, I was like, the world is a different place because, you know, a decade ago, if you went and you ratted on your whole crew or whatever and told, you're ostracized. Nobody's gonna have anything
At
to
least
do with
ostracized. You should really just put a beating on this motherfucker.
Yeah, like he should catch a beating. Nobody should buy his fucking records. Nobody
buy his
should
records.
listen to
You
his
should be the
music.
biggest lame in the world.
Exactly. And it was the total opposite.
Right. So what happened was it took me 2 years to realize I didn't want to be a sellout and go on Matt Cox's show, but at least I went on his show and called him out on it.
Right.
Like these people that go on the show don't even call him out on the fact that he ratted on. You give somebody more time in jail. I mean,
I don't think if people call him out because they're scared, but he just openly admits it. You know what I'm saying?
No, you still got to talk about it. You still got to call him out, yes. No, you can admit it and still call somebody out.
Yeah.
Just because he admits it means he get a pass? Oh, at least he's truthful. He has to be truthful. It's common knowledge. I don't give him credit for that.
Because for people that may not know, you were in Coleman.
I was in Coleman for 4 years.
And you guys
in the same dorm as Matt.
Y'all sat together every morning.
No, not every morning. I wouldn't say that. He's right. We didn't sit every morning. We sat maybe 50, 60 times for a meal.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, we sat. But here's the crazy thing. The thing that Ron Wilson told him that he went to the FBI on, I heard from Ron too. Now, I'm not trying to get credit for this, but I don't know why the first thing that didn't have in my mind was, hey, Ron, don't say that, man. The people, you're in prison. Don't say stuff like that. Don't talk about burying money. That was my first reaction. I didn't know that he was going to go back to the dorm, Matt, tell his lawyer and call the FBI and get more time up. That didn't even come across my mind. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So call it the way I was brought up. Call it, maybe I'm stupid. I didn't think about using that to get time off.
Your first instinct wasn't to try to shave time off. It was for his well-being.
No, hey, Ron, man, he's a fellow fraud guy. Like, hey, listen, like, don't say that. So, yeah, it's flawed crap, man. I mean, call it what it is. I mean, you could call him a nice guy, helps people out with podcasts. He got a great product. Just because somebody has ratings, has done well in life, I can congratulate him for that, but I can call it a scummy move a scummy move. I don't care.
Right.
So just because you get ratings and you get carved out a niche for yourself in life makes your acts less scumbaggy? That doesn't even make any sense, Wade.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not gonna be hard on you for being friends with him because he's gonna help you out with the podcast. I'm just telling you that's pretty flawed. And how can you trust a guy who's done that and cavalierly says I'll do it to anybody?
Yeah.
But then on the show he retracts a little. Remember he says, well, I wouldn't do it to anybody. Remember at the end, if you watch that show.
The one he did with you?
When he did with me.
Yeah.
By the end, he's saying, well, I wouldn't do it on anybody. Because you know what I said? I said, well, he said, I'd tell anybody that told me something in prison to get more time, is stupid enough to tell me something, I would use it. Okay. Yeah. I've been to visit with my wife, my daughter, his wife, his ex-wife, and his son in prison. What if his wife said, hey, by the way, it's been tough for me in here. I embezzled $1 million from my boss because I had to get along. You know, I want advice on it. What should I do? Do you think he'd go back and tell the FBI? Because he could probably get 10 years off of that his wife embezzled $1 million? He wouldn't, right?
Right.
Why? Because it's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just because it's his wife, you're going to say.
Wife.
Okay, where's that line? Tell me the line, Wade. Your cousin? Your best friend? There's no line. If it's wrong, right?
Right.
Okay, where's your line? Your best friend you wouldn't do it on?
Wouldn't do it on nobody.
Okay, so but I'm saying that if you believe Matt, what he's saying, there's got to be some kind of line, right? Okay, so he retracted it then. Well, I wouldn't do it again on everybody. No, you just told me you would. Don't retract it. He doesn't really own up to it because he says that I told on Wilson because it's a horrible charge. Okay, he was a horrible charge. He was taking money from pensioners, old ladies and stuff, yes. But he also said to me, he thought I got way too much time, right? But he also said if I was stupid enough to say something when I was talking to him in prison, that he would have charged me, he would have called the FBI on me. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me it's because of the bad charge. You're just getting an opportunity.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying tread lightly because you're going to be friends with them. I mean, you're going to trust somebody after they've done that? I mean, just be logical.
Well, I told him every time, I said, he has helped me out tremendously, since coming in this game. And he's given me breaks and introduced me to people. I tell him I wouldn't do a crime with you for nothing in the world. Oh, you can bring you can bring the biggest, best scheme plan for us or whatever.
And I'm saying this. I'm not trying to throw shade on you for it. But it is kind of like saying like, hey, whoever has good ratings is nice enough to help you. I think Hitler's grandson's coming out with a podcast.
Right.
And, in a year, Jared's coming out with one. Would you get help from Jared if he was nice?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Then there's levels then, right? Yeah. Matt's a scumbag for telling on people. Yeah. Jared's a scumbag for being a chomo.
No, 100%. I've actually interviewed. We talked about this last night.
But I'm saying you would draw the line from getting help for a podcast, right?
Absolutely.
But not with somebody that in prison was a scumbag enough to give people more time. You see what I'm saying? I'm not.
I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying. I mean,
everybody
call me
does
old
have a
school,
line.
call me this, and call me. Anybody can gloss over and everybody tells now and all that bullshit. Nah, man. I mean, I'm not going with that. I'm not going with that.
No, I mean, I think you're right. Everybody has a line. Like, you can say, I'll deal with this guy because he told us, not the end of the world, but I ain't going to deal with this guy because he, done bad stuff to kids.
How about this? How about this? If you didn't know Ron Wilson, right? What if Ron Wilson happened to be your uncle, coincidentally? You wouldn't fuck with Matt then, right?
Right.
Would you fuck with Matt?
No, I'm saying
because
no,
it would look
no.
bad for you because your uncle would say, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
But he'd still be a good guy helping you out with the things. So I don't know, Wade. I mean, it's just, I don't know. But you don't claim to be a gangster, though.
No.
You're not putting Scarface stuff on like some of the guys in here that did a year in prison that told on the whole case and everybody tells on each other. They put up Scarface shit and they want to be gangsters.
No.
I laugh at that. There's some good people that don't realize they're being so fugazi by putting on, Tony Montana stuff. Mm-hmm. When you told on your case or you got a year in a camp and you're not a gangster, dog.
Right.
Like you're so far from that crap.
Yeah, lucky I never had to go to prison, but we had this discussion last night. I was going to fight mine regardless. And, my lawyer even told me, he's like, they might come and offer you some sort of a deal. And I wasn't going to take any deals. I told him it was going to be 3 meals over plea deals any day of the week.
No, that's more of a gangster than them, though.
Right.
I guess that's what I'm saying. So, and what I'm saying is, like, somebody could have lied on you. Mm-hmm. Somebody could have been in trouble in your neighborhood, okay? And completely bold-faced lied. Oh, I saw him drag the guy in your house. Really? They could have done that to you. Mm-hmm. And that guy would be flawed for doing that, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with Cox.
Yeah.
So, but I know you don't see it that way because he admits it and he's cavalier about it and he has a show and everything. I'm telling you, Wade, it's just, to me, it's a bad look. But I mean, if I don't go like this with society and figure out where they're going.
Well,
like I'm a Democrat. I don't like Trump. And if you love Trump, I'm gonna disagree. I can still be friends with you.
Right.
But just because the wind blows and everybody likes him, I'm not gonna curtail what I believe. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
No, it does. But
if everybody's telling everybody, I could give a shit.
It's unique in his situation because he did it, got out, now he's a podcast host. I think when you're a podcast host like myself that didn't necessarily go through anything like that, you're gonna run into people that did cooperate and do these types of things. There's just no way around it. You're going to have to rub shoulders with them at some point.
Jared's going to do a podcast.
I cannot fathom anybody that would want to give that man any.
This guy's going to get ratings too. He's Jared. He's got a name. Let's think about it. Worst.
As an interviewer or as a host?
Both. I bet you watch both. I bet you.
An interview, I can see people watching.
No, as a host.
I don't know.
I guarantee. People will just say, hey, well, he paid me $2,000 to go on the show. I guarantee it. I'm just saying, if the line's always moved.
Yeah, the goalpost always moved.
Okay, so in the beginning when Cox had no ratings, he wasn't even known. Okay, I'll go. I'm not going to go on the show because he's a rat, because this. He gets ratings, now he looks better, right? Same thing with you probably dealing with. Now he has ratings, he's going to help me. He knows the thing. It's all skewed for what you got. Mm-hmm. So I guarantee some weak-ass mothers, when he gets out in a year and Jared gets out, and he does a show like Chris Lee does a show, not comparing him with Chrissy, I'm just saying when these guys get out, this is what they do. Mm-hmm. Jared has a name. He's a scumbag. He's a child molester, but he has a name. I guarantee he'll have a show, and I guarantee some people will go on that show.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I hope not. I do got some questions to kind of overview.
Absolutely.
What do you think made you such a good salesman? Because, you started out with the phone cards, and you started out with the stickers.
Yes.
You always were able to kind of see an opportunity, even if it wasn't there to other people. 1 million people walk by those stickers.
Yes.
1 million people walk by those phone cards. Gumball machines,
right.
everything.
Right.
I can say probably more eyes may have been on energy drinks, maybe, but they didn't.
Well,
do what you did
here's the
with
big
it.
thing.
What made you successful?
I'm gonna say I'm like everybody else, but I think you've looked at stuff and looked at opportunities, saw an opportunity in something before in your life, right?
Absolutely.
You just never done it before.
Right.
It takes the gumption to do it. I'm not take business classes in school. That helps. I mean, I took economics. It's not the same. I'm also from Massachusetts. I hate to say it. I mean, like people from Mass, you talk to people from Mass, it's different. I'm not trying to toot Mass' horn. You talk to an average kid in Mass that just graduated high school, he's going to be articulate. He can talk over you. He can convince you on things. He's just bold. I mean, like literally, like, and so not everybody. No, he's brilliant. Like Damon went to Harvard and stuff, but like I don't think Affleck went to school like necessarily. These kids are built different.
Right.
They're built different. That's one. Two is my grandfather was always an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur, always a hustler, always stuff like that. My father, grew up in the carnival. Actually, he was a carny, only that he sold his food to the carnivals, but he's still in the carnival.
Right.
Making big money, but he was a hustler.
Yeah.
I could see that in my dad. I could see my grandfather doing the steel business. He was in the steel business, prefab, and he would do bridges and he would do construction. He would do church steeples. He would do things but he was a hustler.
Okay.
He was a hustler in more of an educated way. My father was more of a hustler in a go-getter way. So I got both of them. So think about that.
Yeah. That's the best of both worlds.
It is the best of both worlds. I got the integrity from my complete hustler from my father, maybe the on the edge for things from my father. And then just being articulate. And this is not to pump up the Massachusetts school system. We had a different school system. We really did.
Right.
There's kids that are in 7th grade for 5 years. They didn't pass people. Mm-hmm. We didn't have kids that couldn't read and senior and just got passed. That didn't happen in Massachusetts. They don't care if you're in 3rd grade and you got a little goatee. They don't care. You're going to learn.
Right. And
this is from elementary school on. So even the kids that didn't go to Harvard and everything, that they still can talk your way out of a corner and just have that boldness. So I think it's a combination of that. I've done it before. And I do have a knack for seeing something on the rise that's, if somebody called me up now to get advice for business, I could tell you right away if it's going to be good, bad, or indifferent. I could tell you what levels it's going to be. I can see, I'll tell you if it's not going to work. I'll even be, hey, that's not going to work.
You've got that force.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you that how hard it's going to be to do, how you can get middlemen, there's a lot of intricacies. Mm-hmm. But what I'm good at is to see something that's tangibly that could work, that I know could work. Did I have other ideas? Yes. Did I do them? No, because I know these are 100%ers.
Right.
So when I tell somebody this is a 100%er, it is. It's a 100%er. When I tell somebody this is going to be a single, not a double, it's going to be a single. When I tell somebody this is going to be a home run, this could be a home run. Do I have the knack for that? Yes, I do. And now I'm a person that knows how to get around the illegalities because I've been to trial before and where I went over the edge. So I'm more likely to do that. So yeah, I think my key to that is knowing how to structure it, knowing what's reasonable, knowing where you can get the wholesale prices. All that comes into an idea. When I see an idea, that all flashes through my mind. Mm-hmm. The only analogy I can give you is that you ever see the movie Long Shot with Richard Dreyfuss? He's at track all day.
Yeah. He's
a track guy. He's a numbers guy. He's a gambler, right? Mm-hmm. But he'd go into the bathroom and the guy that you wash your hands with, you give a tip, you have a little mint or something. He sees that guy. He doesn't see the guy as a guy that gives mints. You know what he sees? Oh, I just gave him $1. That guy gave him $1. How much does he make per hour? How much does he make per week? He sees exactly how much this guy makes by just looking at, that's what goes through his mind. He can see if that's worth a while of the job. That's the kind of stuff that goes my mind when I see stuff.
Well, we're closing in on about 2 hours. This has been a fantastic interview, but I got one request before we get out of here. I got to hear that midget stripper story.
Okay, no problem. Because I can tell you a new one I've already told. Now I'll tell you the midget one, and I might tell you a new one that I haven't told on Cox.
So okay. That sounds good.
So the midget one is I had investors that 90% of the people would buy over the phone, would wire transfer the money. They get the business package, they'd check me out, website, I'm Dun & Bradstreet. They know I'm a real company. I have a contract with ReddBull. They just send me the $50,000 wire. So, and then there was about maybe 4 or 5% that want to come see that you're real.
Right.
They want to see an office. They don't want to get duped. They think that, anybody, and I want you to come see me because once you see I have an office, I'm real, you're going to buy. Mm-hmm. So those 4 or 5% that would come to see me, there were maybe 500 in my career as business opportunity that would come to see me. They were 3 different categories that came to see me. One just wants to do business. They come in to do business, see that you're real. 2, they want to go out to eat with you because they don't want to eat alone. I don't like to eat alone either, but they're out and think come out to eat with me and we'll just chop it up and that's it, just going out to eat. The third type, they want to do debauchery. They want you to take them out and do crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. They want you to take them out to South Beach party and all that stuff. Okay. So this one guy named Tex was in that category. He calls me up. He's got a deep voice. He says, my name's Tex. I'm from Austin, Texas. And, I want to buy 20 machines. The opportunity is straightforward. Okay. It's going to be like $90-something thousand. And he goes, no problem. I'll bring a cashier's check. I'm ready to do business, but I want to do business for about an hour. I want you to be available that night to come at my hotel at 8:00. And I don't want you to bring your wife, he said. Those are the rules. All right. Okay. So Tex comes to my office, and he's a caricature. He's like 6'8", maybe 6'9", big dude. A bolo tie. You know those bolo ties? Oh, yeah. Cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat. He shakes my hand, almost breaks it. Really, ugh. We talk business for like maybe 20 minutes. He gives me the cashier's check. I give it to my secretary to take to the bank. It clears right away. I know he's good. He says, meet me at the Marriott in Fort Lauderdale. I got the top penthouse suite, and meet me here at 8 o'clock sharp. All right, well, I'll meet you. Okay. He gives me the place, and I go to the penthouse suite, and I'm there at 8 o'clock. I ring the bell. I knock on the door, and nobody answers for about 40, 50 seconds. I'm like, what? I'm thinking Tex is going to answer, right? I don't know what the hell happened. What I don't realize is that Tex has scoured the world for the best-looking midgets. That's his fetish. But he's got the non-forehead midgets. Like, if you know, you know. So he has literally scoured the earth. He lives with 3 midgets. I don't know this. And these girls are gorgeous. So open the door to the suite, and this girl is about 3'10", maybe less. I don't know. She's small, but she's beautiful. She's non-forehead. She's gorgeous. I mean, from the neck up, she looks like Pocahontas. Like, she's beautiful. So she takes me in by the hand, takes me into the main room, and the main room is basically, the suite. And there's 2 other midgets there, and they're partying. Like, they got drugs out, they got pills out, and they, hey, take this, take that, and like, they got champagne, and they're partying. So I do this for about a couple hours with them, and they keep pushing this pill on me, this one pill. I'm like, I don't want to take that. I don't know what that is. And I've seen pills before. My brother was unfortunately passed from Oxycontins, and he knew pills, and like, I'm thinking this is like a horse tranquilizer. I don't know what it is. It's a big pill. I don't know what it is. They won't take it though. They said, well, we don't take that pill because we're small, and like, but you take it. I'm like, no. So I'm already drinking, doing a little other stuff, and but finally I just take the pill because I'm feeling these like little girls. I'm having fun, right? They're not girls. They're grown women. Like, people say girls, like, they're small, but these girls are 30 years old. They're like, people think it's weird to be with midget. Why? This girl's 30 years old. She's an adult. That's a woman. She just happens to be born 3'9".
Yeah.
So we're partying, and I take the pill. And I shouldn't have, because I've taken stuff in my life, and I've been high, and I've done this, but I was literally like levitating. I was scarily high. I don't know if you. Luckily, you probably haven't been, but I don't know if you've ever been like scared high.
Yeah.
I was scared high, but not scared enough not to dig on this little Pocahontas girl, right? So she takes me by the hand. She takes me into the big bathroom. Suites have big bathrooms, right? Mm-hmm. All I can think of is do, because I'm dizzy. I'm a little high. I put her up on the basin, the bathroom sink. And so we're playing around. I'm touching her. She's touching me. She pulls down my pants, and I look down, and I think whatever pill they gave me is some sort of Viagra, because like my stuff is huge. And I'm thinking, well, I want to know what this pill is. It's like a Viagra or something, right? But I'm so high, I'm so screwed up that it took me 30 seconds to realize that it's not Viagra. It's not huge. She's got baby hands. Like, she's got little hands. Like, she's got little teeny hands. So that's why it looks huge, right? She's not a baby. She's a grown woman, but she's got little hands. Like, so I realize that it's not because of the pill. It's because it just looks bigger. So I go back out. We're partying. And so what happened was, no text. Like, I'm partying with these girls till like 1 in the morning. Like, no text. Okay, no text. I don't know, but I'm thinking Tex is going to come around the corner and beat me for being with the girls. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm a little paranoid at this point too, right? Finally, Tex comes out of one of the doors, and he says, "Everybody get there, going out clothes. I got a limo waiting. We're going to go down to South Beach. I'm going to go down to my club." He said my club. It's not his club. He doesn't own it, but he likes Mansion. I don't know if you've ever been to Mansion, but
I've heard of it.
Mansion was a big time club, especially back then. Mansion was popping. This is 2005, so Mansion's popping.
Right.
So he says, everybody get their clothes on. I'm like, I got my clothes. I didn't take any other clothes. I don't know what clothes you're talking about. But the midget girls, and they're not girls, they're women. I keep saying girls, they're women. The midget women, they put on their like midget going out clothes. Like, the only way I can describe it, right? I mean, they put on their, their pumps and stuff. And okay, so we go out to South Beach. Now listen, I've been to South Beach. My wife was gorgeous. I got lucky with her, and I've been. One of my employees was Miss Venezuela. One time I've been out with her. Like, I've been out with dimes to South Beach, but I've never got the looks like I with Tex and the 3 midgets. Like, I'm going to people like, what the hell, like that. He goes right through the line. There's people in line waiting, and he must have been there before. He knew the bound. He knew everybody. Oh, Tex, how you doing? We haven't seen you in a while. He gets a table right away, a really nice table. The table happens to be next to Dean Cain. Dean Cain's with his buddies. Dean Cain's no major star, but Dean Cain was partying there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the guy who wants to be Superman and stuff. So Dean Cain starts looking at the midgets, like scooping on the Pocahontas girl and stuff like that, and he comes walking over and doesn't even say hi to Tex or anything or other girls, just starts talking to that midget girl. And Tex is like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't care if you're Superman or not. Like you be respectful like this. So Dean Cain kind of walks out because Tex is a big dude.
Yeah.
So if you know in those clubs, they always have like small bathrooms for some reason.
Yeah.
Like why do the big clubs have like lines in the bathrooms? Like they never make them so because they need the space in the club or something. But it's always like
assuming,
that.
Yeah,
so I'm in line for the bathroom, right? And I got a bottle of Cristal. This is 2005. Cristal was still being used a little bit. And so I'm drinking the bottle, and then all of a sudden the Pocahontas girl comes up next to me and says, let me hold your hand and keep you company while you're waiting. So I got this Pocahontas midget girl with a bottle of Cristal. People are walking by me like, this guy's a pimp or something. I don't know what the hell is this guy. This guy's crazy, right? So we party all night. I get home about 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't hear from Tex for about 10 days. I don't hear from him, right? I get an email out of the blue about 10 days later. And he sends me emails with the midgets doing like crazy stuff. The first one was like a McDonald's drive-thru with the McDonald's guy giving a Happy Meal out of the drive-thru. You can see it's McDonald's. One midget's on his lap, if you know what I mean. The other midget's filming, and he's like going like this. And the guy with the McDonald's is putting the Happy Meal going, what the hell is this? A couple days later, he sends me a picture of a party at his pool, a pool party at his place with the midgets doing stuff with his friends and crazy stuff, right? He keeps sending me these. I don't ask for them. So one day, about a month later, remember my office has all kinds of offices everywhere, so I'm out of my office sometimes going otherwhere. I'm out of my office for like 2 hours, and my secretary says, hey, your wife's waiting in your office for you. I go, okay, we'll go to lunch, but I've been busy. I don't feel bad that my wife's waiting because she knows that I'm busy with work. I go in, my wife, I had left my computer on.
Uh-oh.
So my wife's looking at my email. She's like, what the hell is this midget stuff? I'm like, yeah, the guy keeps sending it to me. I don't ask for it. She goes, you got some crazy distributors. That was the text story. But I'm going to tell you one last story that I didn't tell on Cox, and I didn't tell on Bubba, and I didn't tell on anybody else's. This is a wild story. You got time? You got
Yeah,
go? Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
So I have a lot of these stories with these investors, but this one kind of takes the cake. This is when I was doing the Hershey chocolate machines, the 30 for 10,000.
Uh-huh.
Guy calls up one of my sales girls, and this girl was a good sales girl, but she was kind of like great articulate, but like she was book smart, but not kind of like savvy smart. You know, I mean, she could sell in an educated way, but she wasn't thinking out of the box way.
Right.
So she gets this one guy. She says, this guy wants to buy from me. I go, good, have him buy. She goes, I don't know, something's weird. He sounds like he's in an echo chamber. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, something's weird about him. She goes, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I think he's like a paraplegic or quadripollegic or something. Because my uncle, she said her uncle was a quadriplegic, got into some accident, and he talks that way. Because he talks through like a kind of I don't know if it's trach or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, this guy sounds like he's in an echo chamber. And she goes, I think he sounds like my uncle. And I'm like, what? Let me talk to the guy. So I call the guy up. He answers and he does. He sounds like he's in an echo chamber. I said, excuse me, but I mean, I was just talking about the opportunity, but you sound like you're in an echo chamber. He goes, yeah, I'm a paraplegic, he said. I'm a paraplegic? Why are you looking at a candy route? You're going to buy Hershey chocolate machines? Oh, I love it. He goes, I'm going to have somebody do the route then. I go, no, I don't think this is going to work out. You're a paraplegic. You're in bed. He goes, yeah, but how are you going to do the route? And he goes, well, you're gonna get somebody for me to do the route for me. He was in Sarasota, happened to be. He wasn't in California. I would have said no. He happened to be in Sarasota, Sarasota, Florida.
Right.
I still said no. I can't sell to you, man. This is going to be. I don't know the logistics. You're a quadriplegic. Then he threatens me. I'm going to call the government to say you're discriminating against handicap. I'm like, oh God. It's not for you. It's your quadriplegic. He says, no, I'm going to create trouble for you. That's discrimination. So I sell to him. And I tell him I'll get somebody in the area to help him out. And I'm going to deliver machines. I told the girl, I said, you're coming up with me. I mean, if you want to sell this guy and get the commission, we got to go to Sarasota. I'm going to deliver the machines to him. I'm going to get a rider truck and deliver it to him. I want to see how this goes. I don't want to get in trouble. He's a quadriplegic. We go to him. He's in a home. He's a quadriplegic. He had got into a construction accident like 3 years before. He was like 30 years old at the time. They gave him like a $3 million settlement. So all he does, he goes on the computer with his mouth. And he looks at opportunities and stuff, and But the thing was, he was an a-hole. He was also racist too. He'd tell the nurse, he'd say the N-word after she left the room. He wasn't a good dude. He was bitter,
right?
Because of the whole thing. So I get him this lady that's a Christian lady at a church, and said, I want to help him out. I won't even take any money from him to do it. I'll just help him out. He's a quadriplegic. She's going to help him with the route. Beautiful. She gets locations and everything for him. She goes and gets them the locations. She's a Christian lady. So we put the machines in. I go out there and lump the machines with my sales girl, and we put the machines in every 30 locations. And we tell the woman, here's how you service them. You put the coins in and all that. She starts serving them. About 2 weeks later, the quadriplegic calls me up and says, I don't know, I can't swear, so I'll say it this way. He says, that C word, she's stealing from me. This is a nice Christian lady. Not gonna use. He's got an echo chamber. He goes, she's stealing from me. She's a C word. She's this. She's that. I'm like, dude, she's a nice lady. So I go all the way to Sarasota and talk to him. She's not stealing from you, dog. She's a nice Christian lady. No, I think she is. And I'm like, maybe the machines aren't doing as well. Maybe you should put them at different locations. He goes, yeah. What do you think about the sales? Maybe you should boost the sales. The only thing I can think to boost sales for him is like, you want to boost sales? He goes, yes. I said, okay, let's wheel him out. So they get him into a wheelchair. We take him out. I take a picture of him. I go to a Kinko's, get it blown up to put on every machine. I put help your local quadripollegic and handicapped person, and it did help sales. Like, I put it right on the side of the machine, and a picture of him, which is legal because he owns the machines. So it did help sales. I got another person to help him, and then he claimed that guy was stealing from him, and it was just a headache from the get go. But he made me sell to him because he's telling you to call the government because he says, it's discrimination.
Wow.
And he was a quadriplegic, but it's crazy.
Then and then they charge you for something almost similar.
Almost similar, but they didn't. I mean, we appeased them, but it was a hassle, though, is what I'm saying. Of course, I wouldn't have sold him unless he just made me sell him.
Right.
But quadriplegic of vending route, but yeah.
Crazy story, brother. You stood up, you stood on business, you fought the government, you did lose, but it's still the fight.
It's the fight.
You went through the fight, you done it the right way, like you said. You can
but also I can tell you, I did the right way. If I didn't ship machines, say I sold 30,000, you didn't ship, I wouldn't have went to trial. That's black and white. It's fraud.
Right.
Like Matt has things where he's stealing people's identity and homeless people. That's just cut and dry fraud. Right. I shipped 30,000 machines.
You shipped your product.
Right. It's not black and white.
Guarantee was what they done, which a lot of that to me falls on them and their ability to sell and
of course,
locations and things like that.
Of course. But once you take a trial, they do all those tricks. And so I guess what I'm saying is, like, I didn't go to this just to stand up against them. I would have never told anybody. I would just, if I didn't ship, I would have just, told on myself. But what I'm saying, I guess I stood up because my case is in black and white.
Right.
And just like yours, you thought you were innocent. Anybody who tells me they're innocent and tells me they don't go to trial is the biggest idiot in the world. I'll tell that to them now. I don't care if they're afraid of the government. I don't care if everybody's telling. If you're telling me you're innocent and you still don't go to trial, I have no respect for you.
Right. 100%.
So what I'm saying is, the only thing I have a pet peeve with that, don't tell me you're a gangster. Don't tell me you're all this. And, don't start hanging out with, like, people take pictures with Gotti Jr. That kid was a lowlife. He was like told his father he doesn't want to be in the business anymore. That kid, just because his name is Gotti doesn't mean he's no gangster. He's not a gangster.
Right.
It's the same people that are a restaurant. Oh, Sammy the Bull, let me take a picture with him. That scumbag should get a whack in the head, not a picture. I mean, bizarro world is what I'm saying. So
100%. I had a friend of mine that just said he paid Sammy $4,000 he was going to fly on his own dime. He paid him $4,000. He was going to fly up to Arizona, and Sammy agreed to do a show. Because I mean, like it or not.
Oh
Sammy
no, it's still.
numbers.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying no. You don't condone it though.
Right.
You're saying.
But Sammy fucked him. He didn't agree to do it. He told him, he was like, hey, we're just going to have to do it remote. And the guy was like, well, I didn't pay you $4,000 to do a remote podcast. And he was like, well, I'll get back to you and just completely cut communication.
Yeah, you're going to trust a guy that's he's a federal worker.
Yeah.
He's a federal employee.
100%.
Yeah.
You have some social medias that people can go follow and check you out.
I do. I appreciate that. There's the Real Boston ReddBull with 2 Ds. The red was with 2 Ds because of ReddBull and situation. That's on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm so naive to it. I haven't even put hashtags out. Now I just learned hashtags and I got a huge amount of more views. I'm very new to it. But if you want to go to Instagram and check me out, the Real Boston ReddBull with 2 Ds. I'm going to start putting out content. I've been asked to do my own podcast. I'm going to see about that. I've been asked to do a lot of other shows.
Right.
And my PO hasn't let me yet, hasn't let me travel. I have to go to the courts to get permission. So the only reason why I've only been on 3 or 4 or 5 shows, they're all in Florida.
Right.
My PO hasn't let me travel yet. Okay. And I had to go to the court to even go do the ones in Tampa, the Bubba, the Love Sponge, and the Cox.
Wow.
And you're here doing the show because I couldn't even do it in South Carolina right now.
Right. Yeah. Even if I was going to get you up there, you couldn't. Even
right.
Do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to try to get with the courts. Let's see what happens. I'm going to put a motion in today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And to do that. So I'd be glad to do another one with you.
Absolutely.
I have stories for days.
Yeah, we can get into the whole prison thing. We just covered
the prison thing too.
There,
absolutely. It didn't even get into the prison thing.
Yeah.
And didn't get into the deep of how I did the businesses. That's another one. That might be boring to some people, but not to some people. Some people really want to know about that.
I love that. I've always had the entrepreneurial mindset.
Right.
A lot of what you were explaining was things that I did, like, not necessarily to that level, but my dad he was best friends with a guy that owned a convenience store. And so he would bring home candy that's about to expire in like a month. So what I do, I'm taking that candy. He's like, here's what eat it. I take it and I'm selling them for a quarter a piece.
Right. You were telling me about Jersey. You got the hustler's mentality.
Right. So I've always tried to figure out what was that next thing.
Right.
And if there's a demand for it, how can I profit from that demand?
There you go. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people out there are looking at this, are those people, but they don't know how to do it.
Right.
They have no idea how to do it. So if anything, that's what I do not. And I made it sound easy during those things.
Right.
We could have 5-hour shows in each one of them.
Right.
How I got the phone cards and meticulously go through it. That's boring to some people, but some people go, hey, I want to know about it.
No, absolutely.
So that's other shows. So,
for sure.
So yeah, I appreciate it, Wade. And I do like your show, and I appreciate you as a guy. And, I didn't mean it to be too hard on you about Cox thing, but that's all right. And, but yeah, call me old school, a dinosaur, but I stand on business. There's still some people that do it right. So I appreciate you acknowledging that.
Absolutely.
And I did go to trial, and I could have done it a number of different ways. Mm-hmm. And everybody says, well, you would have been with your family quicker, but I wouldn't have been able to look at myself in the mirror or my family. So my wife even said, you got to do it the right way. I'm sure my daughter and my mother wanted to see me quicker and just take the best deal. And listen, I could have took no time. I could have went out and what Belfort did, go wear wires on a bunch of people. That list that they gave me.
You could have hit that list. Yeah.
I could have hit the list. I hit the list first. Maybe they only give me 2 years. I hit the four or five salespeople I could have told against. Maybe try to get dirt on more of them. They probably could have got 30 of my salespeople.
Right.
Of course, I'm not going to do that stuff. And some of those people didn't go to jail because of me. I'm not tooting my horn for it. It's just the right thing to do. When you have done dirt, this is the last thing I'll leave you on. When you have done dirt, there's only 2 ways to handle it. It really, in my heart, you take responsibility, try to get the best deal for you in the less amount of time by taking full responsibility, or you fight them. That's it. Mm-hmm. Anything else is wrong. Okay? So all those people, they work for the feds. So the feds, they have 30,000 XBI agents. They have 50,000 people working in the Justice Department. They don't really. They have 150,000 more that are in the feds. So...
100%.
But not me. But I appreciate that. Thank you. And that's my story. But there's a lot more to it.
Oh yeah,
this is definitely for the 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll definitely link up and do another part.
No problem.
There's a lot more layers. But and I'll end on this, like what you said. You done it the right way. You can look yourself in the mirror. And to some people that might sound crazy, but to the few rare ones that stand on business, that means something. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for saying that. And I do stand behind that. And I did 13 years, and I didn't see my family for 13 years, but I don't regret how I did it.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Andrew Levinson. I'm Hollywood Wade. We'll see you next week on Crime and Entertainment.